of today's tournament. We're gonna review rounds 2 and 3 today, but first let's do a quick plug for the chess camp that I think you're actually going to be teaching, Nubair.
Yeah, welcome everyone, guys. And round 4 is already kicked off. We'll be looking at the games, but before, let's talk about a bit about the camp, which will be starting on 30th of May on Friday evening.
Good night.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
We will be doing a simul as well on 30th. So hope to see you there, guys. There's a training camp based on the Carlsberg structure, some strategic ideas which you can attend starting 5 p.m. local time at the club. And then we will be having some simul, some fun, some blitz games. So looking forward to meet you guys on 30th of May. And then there will be interesting match on 31st playing the local master, and it will be played in classical games, so some serious chess. On weekend, I think it will be a good experience for the viewers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I will also be there. I am excited to face you in some blitz, and hopefully someone at the club is at least able to draw you.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. All right.
The format is very interesting, and anything is possible. Like, I mean, all results are possible in any game. So let's have a look at the games. So we have got Titus playing here with the white pieces against Ajay on board number 1. Let's try to start from the move 1. It was a close Sicilian game. And then suddenly Titus said, okay, no, I want to play the open Sicilian. And he plays an f3 with the idea of d4 instead of going for the traditional bishop c4 or drop attacks. d5 comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Takes. And he plays bishop b5. So the idea of this move is you want to castle quickly and get some d4 and try to an isolated pawn. So this lens could be trickier, and I think he got something out of it. So we can see white has developed 3 pieces, castle quickly, and we're going to play rook e1 next. What has black got in return? Black has got the center control, and if he manages to develop his pieces properly, probably he'll be better. But let's see what happens next. What do you think about this, Mukano?
I think it makes sense in terms of developing pieces, but I'm more inclined to develop my king side because I like castling quickly in this position. It just feels a little bit safer to me. But I mean, I understand this move. It's not the one I would have exactly picked. But maybe black plans to castle queen side. It seems a little risky. After some queen b6, it's possible, but I'm not a huge fan of this idea. The move I probably would have considered is something like knight to f6 and plan to block with the bishop, just because it seems a little bit more principled to me.
Absolutely, very well said. What black needs to do is just play knight f6 bishop e1 and castle, because the king would be more safe here. The pawns are on the beginning squares, and definitely bishop e6 involves risk if you plan to castle long. And immediately Titus went d4, trying to put some more pressure here. Knight e7 played. A bit surprising to me. Normally this is normal move, but then maybe ng5 is coming or rook e1 is coming next. So this move was the first mistake, I think, of the game, I believe.
Yeah, it certainly makes it harder. Because now black doesn't really have any good squares for their pieces, so they're really going to be struggling, especially against someone like Titus, who's probably looked at lines like this before.
And many times we saw a mistake is getting followed by the second mistake, and this is what happens. He just gets a pawn here. Okay, he plays a6. So the idea is nice. You want to get the knight there and then bishop into pawn and try to have a good center control with 2 bishops. Honestly speaking, maybe I would have just gone bishop a4 or something like this, because there is just no reason to take here. Black, I mean, these are connecting knights, and it's not a good idea to take the knights because they are doing job of one knight. So let's say you play bishop a4, and if knight g6, we can simply at least play knight d4. I mean, there are more moves like bishop e3, maybe bishop g5, putting some pressure here, maybe rook e8, rook e1, straightforward queen d5 idea. But at least you can play knight d4 here and make black suffer. So maybe Titus could have won instantly if he would have gone here, in my opinion. But then he took. This definitely gave some chance to black.
Yeah. And now white is just winning the pawn with the tactic where you were pointing out earlier, this rook e1, and now I don't actually see any clear compensation white can just move their knight back to, I don't know, c6 or get fancy and develop their bishop, and it's just, I don't see any compensation for this lost pawn.
Definitely, and maybe queen d5 would have been more precise, because in this line you are threatening to win a piece, so he must capture more or less. So takes, and now castling is not so great because you have got knight c7, winning another pawn or destroying the pawn structure. And if he goes long castle, then king is not that safe, and again you can at least play something like knight f4 maybe. But then Titus decided wanted to have queens on board, and this white is up a pawn, no clear compensation, but black has got two bishops. So in long term, let's say if black keeps on playing good moves or does not allow white to create a pass pawn in the endgame, it could create some problem to win this position as white. But okay, we are far away from the endgame, and probably white can get a bishop somewhere. Okay, he immediately went for getting the bishop. Very well played, or good move.
Yep. Yeah, and now it's a little bit harder because now black really only has his light squared bishop. So as long as we don't create any light squared weaknesses, it's not going to be such a strong piece.
Yeah, and he tried playing queen f6, c3, and probably after this, black has zero compensation for the lost pawn. Even he goes queen f4, and that's why I wanted to play queen c2, so that we don't allow anything like this.
Yeah.
Okay, he gives a small chance, but okay, as long as you're trading pieces and centralizing your pieces, I think everything is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not liking black's chances here. It's probably holdable for a draw, but you have to show some pretty strong technique here to do that.
Absolutely, and this is somewhere around we are in the game. So knight c4 was played a few minutes ago, and currently we have got this endgame position over the board. So he goes knight b6, and just now Ajay went rook to d8. This knight is quite strong, but still there's no clear plan, as the eastern square is controlled by the knight, and also for the black, rook d2 is not available because of this. But if black gets chance, for sure black would love to play something like bishop g4 and trying to enter inside.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a little hard to find a plan for white to continue. I'm not seeing any clear-cut ideas. So maybe black is playing this right. He's at least making it complicated. The only plan that I can reasonably see is bring your king in somehow, like some g3 and run your king up after you move your knight, or yeah, maybe king h2, king g3, something like this. But it's not quite clear to me how white wins this, but white is definitely playing for the win.
Yeah, and maybe at some point after king h2, king g3, let's say he plays bishop g4, h5 ideas, maybe white can go rook e3 at some point and try to push these pawns. But the moment you play rook e3, I think black is going to get some counterplay with rook coming inside and attacking some weaknesses here and there. So white is better. White may win this game, but it's not like one-sided match. Black is going to have some say here. And if only thing is black needs to maintain time well on the clock. If he gets low on time, it will be easier for white to win this. But if he maintains more or less same time, I think it will be an interesting endgame to follow.
Yeah, and here we see on the board the king h2 you were talking about. I think he sees the same plan that we're looking at. So we'll see how this one goes. We can check back later. In the meantime, board 2. So Dane Zagar versus John Bloomer. Dane used to be the coach for John, so this is a very tough match mentally for John for sure, because you never think I'm going to be able to beat my coach or anything along those lines normally. But in this position, it looks like, with some very accurate play, black might hold a draw, although I do expect the psychology to play a big factor here, and Dane will probably find some way to swindle John out of this position to gain some win. How did we end up getting here? So Dane always plays d4, but I know John has studied it extensively because Dane was his coach. They went over a lot of the lines that Dane plays. So this is always Dane's go-to right here. Yep, this is what I've seen John play. I think he's played this against me a number of times as well with the black pieces. Yep, exactly, with this pawn push, and it does start to get complicated. Bishop here.
So more or less, we have the main line of the Nimzo Indian, or we can simply call it Rubinstein system, as it was first played by Rubinstein at the highest level. And when we develop knights like this, it is called Rubinstein. And the idea is very simple. Whenever you want to take on c3, white just want to play knight c3 back and not to ruin the structure. So it is a very solid line. But also, if black plays, let's say, decently in the center, black also has equal chances.
Yeah.
But
he went D6 is not a move I'm a huge fan of. I'm liking either pawn takes d5 or sorry, pawn takes d4 or d5 here. I've never actually seen this d6 move. It doesn't seem so testing. But maybe John's done some prep here and he knows all the lines and he's hoping Dane hasn't looked at these. That's also a possibility because I know John knows a lot of theory. So this might just be something he's more familiar with.
Yeah, and maybe it's a surprise test for the coach this time. And looking at the time, he was playing it very fast. He just bridges out everything. And let's see what he had under his sleeves for the coach today.
Yeah, with John, he is very booked up, but he also can sometimes play a little bit too fast. I know I faced John before, and he was moving very fast in some strange positions, and I was thinking he was in book, and then he blundered a pawn. So maybe he's just misremembering a line. I think that's what happened against me, because I'm not liking this after Queen C2 here or something along those lines. I really do like White's chances. Exactly. Yeah. Queen C2 bring your rooks in, and it's not so pleasant.
Yeah, and the only hope for black is to try to play some kind of e5 here, and try to open up lines, get the bishop or something. But those things are artificial. White just goes knight e4, trying to exchange the dark square bishop, so that White will have a good bishop versus bad bishop at the end of the day, and he captures this. And here, of course, you cannot capture twice back with this because of a typical shot at h7.
Yeah, if you want to put that on the board, I see a few people in the chat, and I know several of them who might not be able to visualize this tactic. Okay. So showing that would be helpful. And then hello to everyone in chat saying hello. Yeah, and then as Nubair is showing, now we lose the queen for the bishop, which at this level is plenty sufficient compensation. Sorry, not sufficient compensation. White is going to go on to win. I wish it was good enough compensation. I'd be very happy. But no, it's very, very good for White. So this
and also a very good point by Dane here that he took on with the knight, because if you take with the pawn, then simply e5, and it could add some pressure on this knight. This knight is not doing good, or let's put it like this: the knight on e2 is definitely not better than knight on c6. So he plays knight g4, trying to improve his knight, and now this knight looks good. If he goes like this, we can just play bishop e2 or something. But he decided to play a6. Maybe bishop d7, rook d8 would have been slightly better option somehow, trying to play active. But a6, maybe he got scared of knight b5 coming in, attacking the weakness.
Yeah, and I think a6 makes good sense if you're worried about the d6 pawn being soft. I might have been worried about this too, honestly, because I don't see a great way to defend other than some rook to d8 at some points. But, yeah.
Or the another way maybe was to just capture and trying to play something like e5, where you have active bishop coming in, and maybe black can hope to equalize this with some concrete play.
Yeah, especially since this white bishop can no longer touch our pawns. This does look like a little bit more of a solid position. This might have been the best chance to keep it equal.
Yeah, but he decided to play a6, and again a6 was played a bit fast in less than a minute. So then goes knight f3 with some ideas of bishop e4 in future, keeping some tension here.
Yeah,
rook d8, defending the pawn.
Queen c2 probably. Yep.
Yeah.
Very principled, and yeah, but this position does seem fairly balanced, all things considered. The only thing black has to do is get this bishop out, and I don't see enough play to stop the bishop from coming out. So maybe slight edge for white right now due to space and development, but very holdable. This move I'm not so sure about.
I think this was played because if let's say if you play something like this or a4 or something like that, then black gets this juicy output on the c5, and sooner or later he will get e5 as well, and that would give black a very good position or a very solid position in general. So white just decided to sacrifice here or play c5, because d5 queen c5, if you capture on d3, then the c8 hangs. So it's good that way, and otherwise also you can play something like bishop e4 if you like, and try to exchange pieces and restrict black from developing the queen side army.
Yeah, so maybe this makes sense. I wasn't so much afraid of this idea, but actually, after you pointed out with the knight hopping to the square, it is a little uncomfortable to play. So this is probably a more accurate way to play it. And of course, Dane is the one doing all the calculations, and he probably saw this from a ways away. So probably a good practical decision here.
Yeah, and maybe bishop e4 was interesting sacrifice, stopping black from developing. Okay, you can play knight d7, but then rook d1 or rook d1, and even if just try to make double, would have put some pressure on John, or at least slowed him down. But then decide to keep it simple, takes the pawn back, then gets a b6. Maybe he missed this idea because if you capture now the d3 hangs, so you have to come back or go queen c7 and capture. And now if he gets knight d7. Or even if he would have played rook to d8 and knight d7, he would have been fine, in my opinion, at least. Because if you go even like this, there's a knight d7 here. Yeah. And for rook d1, there's a trick here, knight c5. And the point is after rook d8, you cannot capture on b6 because the a1 hangs.
Yes.
And if you capture it first,
that might
maybe this works, maybe probably. It might be 3 assault. And you have got only one square for the rook. And maybe that's enough.
Yeah, I think this might be enough. Now with this passed pawn, I think white is going to be very comfortable. Maybe not winning with engine play, but I think practically for human play, it's over.
And for that reason, queen d8 was played, so that if he goes queen b7, can protect the pawn and go knight d7, knight c5. I think a very meaningful decision by John here.
And after this trade, knight d7 here seems maybe like the only chance. Yeah, it is a little tricky to find moves as black, but yeah, I think the only plan to keep your pieces together is exactly what's coming onto the board right now. And now you have to move your rook over, and I suppose offers a trade and bring your king in, I guess, to protect.
Yeah. And he played king d8, and we saw about this f4 idea, and maybe now I just want to go knight king f3, g4, h4, h4, gain some space and create some weakness. So black needs to find. Yeah.
I feel like the only chance for black is maybe to get pieces off like this and just pray that our b pawn doesn't drop at some point, because this is not looking terrible, but it's looking very tricky.
Definitely. And Dan is not even going king f2, saying no to any checks. He just want to keep it very, very safe and simple. He would just like to go king e2 and eventually get e4, e5, and basically this typical pawn structure. If he gets this pawn structure, then there are lots of breaks in the position and in the endgame. And the main problem for black is to improve the rook. He cannot go to rook d8, he cannot go rook a7 to get to d7. So the only plan we can make is he has to go rook c8, rook to c7, and rook d7. And even in this, there's a problem that there's a checkmate here. So in general, black just cannot touch the rook. He can only make rook c8, rook a8, rook c8, rook a8. And white will just keep on improving his pieces.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any knockout blow, but this cannot be pleasant to play with the black pieces, which is, like I was saying, I feel like Dane is going to find a way to win this one, just because it seems so practically hard.
And Johan did find some way to attack or to give some tricks here. If you blunder king e2, you lose immediately. So he did find a way. Maybe he could have started with a4 to make more challenging for Dane, and at least he will have some square here, or if he gets this pawn, it will be something to play for. But he does allow pawn to a4. Now this could be treated as weakness, but very soon king d2 will come. So he went back to d5, and now maybe if knight e7 comes on the board, it will be just equal.
Yeah, maybe. This knight to d7 move is maybe a good way to kind of kill the game. Knight here, probably knight back to e5. I think Dane wants to keep the chances, and I think this move with the king cutting out the rook, makes this play reasonable.
Definitely. And now this is not possible because the f7 hangs at the end, and if we play f6, then the knight c4 is really annoying here.
Yeah.
A double.
And now, is this our live position? Do we have any more moves?
We have some more moves. He did play f6, which is a mistake, I believe. Maybe something like knight f5 would have been better idea, because after rook d7, we do have f6 attacking pieces. So maybe knight f5 was the way going forward. And after white moves the rook, maybe f6.
Yeah, f6 seems to make some weaknesses on the 6th rank that might be a little bit hard to deal with. But Dane chooses here, and yeah, I'm not actually so convinced by this Dane's last move, because it looks like there might be some tactical problems. But at the same time, Dane probably already did the calculations, so maybe there is nothing.
So he had the idea if knight b6, he just want to go rook b8. But if he captures, just losing a pawn. But if you go knight b6, rook b8, then there's no rook d6, as there's a knight guarding the square. And if knight b6, rook b8, knight d7, then the whole point is to go rook to d8, and the knight is hanging, and it's a double attack. So it was a tactical shot spotted by John, but I believe knight b6 is
win the pawn though, yeah. Well, no, maybe you don't win the pawn, because after you see rook t8, trade. Maybe this is maybe this is holdable.
Yeah, now it's a rook, it's a king pawn endgame, whether you draw this or you lose it. So you need to calculate really well, and I think this is a good practical decision by John, because Dane is just down to 4 minutes here, and he needs to calculate lots of line, like, okay, rook d8, king d8 is simple, but after that, whether you're going to play king d3, king c3, e4, or some kind of a g4, h4, and you have to calculate all of that. And also for black, there are lots of moves, like all the pawn moves, almost king coming forward. So if there's only one way to win or something, you need time on the clock to figure it out.
Yeah, I think Dane is probably going to attempt something like rook to d4 just to create some imbalances. Okay, he trades. I would have thought Dane wanted the imbalances in the endgame to see if he could make something happen, because this seems a little more drawish. But yeah, king to d4 is of course double-edged, because now you have your isolated pawn. It could be somehow a weakness, but I felt like it was maybe the best attempt to put for something more than equal.
So I think if White wants to try, g4 is the move, trying to gain some space on the king side.
Yeah,
and
I think
then if something works out.
Yeah, and g4, more than winning space, I think it also wins some tempo, because now the h pawn can never push without needing the g pawn support. So I think this is practically going to be the best.
They just include their kings.
Okay. I might have tried pushing the h pawn if I were black, just to stop this g4 idea in the future. But maybe this is also okay. There's probably multiple ways to draw this match at this point, because the pawns are symmetrical and there's no path for either king to get in, other than the white king can and the black king, I guess, can run to the h file and try and get in through whatever gaps are over there. But as long as there are no breaks with pawn pushing, I think it's. No, maybe king c6.
Yeah, very well said. There could be multiple ways, but I'm really worried. I mean, why both the players are not trying to gain g4 or h5 as white or black. If you are white, you should try to play g4. If you're black, try to play h5, restrict the g4 idea. But now this could get even dangerous if white over tries like king d6, and you have got some serious problem here.
Yeah.
And for f5, there is just e5 next coming in.
e5 takes here.
Like this, for example, king d6, f5, e5, and then you're losing those pawns. So for king d6, you have to go king here and.
Wait, can we go king d4, king e6? Sorry, king e6, king d4, push takes king back.
No, this could be problematic for black, because king e4, king e6, and now if
and this is what I'm thinking.
Now g4 is a problem.
Can we go there, because then g5, right?
No, g5 is 3.
No. G5 is we have the extra tempo.
I think he's already losing just g4, and I mean, I think only move here for his is just g6, but I believe still we have got some kind of a g4 here, and after king e6 we have got, but maybe g5 is okay. No, it just lost. I think is h4
here. h4. Can we push our h pawn?
H5 is possible. So g5, king e6, and it's not game over yet. So this is again a draw.
Yeah, takes, and now black, I think, has chances, but yeah, it's still a draw.
Yeah, and okay, so maybe this is an interesting idea or try, especially when Dane is low on time, so he can try this idea. But finding g6 idea is a little bit difficult, I believe.
But he has 41 minutes, so it's very findable. If he had 4 or 5 minutes like Dane does, maybe it's hard. But John is a little bit of an impatient player, so it might not happen. But I think
that's what my problem. I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, the problem is he should think for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Even if you have like 2 hours on the clock, and if you don't think for 10 minutes, it's of no use. So and that's the problem with John. He doesn't like to think for long.
Yeah, and the thing about pawn and games especially is the way you play them is you calculate until you see a win or you see a draw, depending on what you're playing for. And you just got to sit there and do the calculation because one wrong move, there's no piece to help you recover. There's no backward bishop move or a knight that can catch a pass pawn. You lose. So this is definitely the time where you want to sit and go, like, do all your calculations. So we'll see if John is able to keep together, because I know, like we were saying earlier, he's playing a little fast here, and that can definitely get you into trouble, especially against someone like Dane, who he does do the calculation, but he's also got a little bit more experience in these positions. So maybe he knows something that John doesn't.
Absolutely. When the game comes to end game, like one mistake is like game over. So you need to be very, very precise and take all the time available on the clock. And right now, the good news is John is finally thinking here. John is finally thinking here to decide whether he wants to play king d6 or push some pawns. And okay, so maybe we can go to the next board.
Yeah, let's check out OK versus Zihao. I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name here. So let's see what's happening here. All right, so
yeah, and these players are playing on, I think, 2.5 out of 3. First two boards are 3 out of 3, and next two boards are 2.5. So they are just half a point behind. If they win, they can catch up the leaders.
Yep. All right, d4, knight f6, knight f3. This is, I think, what OK played against me last time I faced him, and so I'm pretty familiar with this. Okay, bishop g7 probably, knight d2, castles, c3.
Yeah. d6, e4, and pretty much typical of Tore attack system.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. One second. I'm gonna pull up these players' ratings because I don't remember them right off the top of my head.
Usually, I believe they play e5, c6 system with some h6 idea, and if they go bishop h4, some even g5 and h5 ideas. But playing c5 is not really a good idea because then you are going into some kind of Sicilians where white has already achieved the center control.
Yeah, and now it's a little unpleasant here. Maybe, yeah, okay. Castles is maybe not. Well, no, it's probably fine. I might have tried some pressure with like queen to e2 or queen to c2, just because it looks like the file might become interesting. But I mean, castles can't be wrong. And then you go rook e1 instead of putting your queen there. So no, this is probably okay.
Yeah, that's okay. a6, a4, preventing any b5 ideas. And okay, S3 is definitely to be as you can just go rook e1 and try to give some shots, or even e5 directly with e6.
Yeah, maybe this was to stop some ideas of going h6, b5, and winning the bishop. I'm not sure. Maybe OK is trying to play the long game and just keep the two bishops advantage and thinks his opponent is strong enough to defend if he doesn't play this. But I also agree. I like this rook to e1 move. It just feels a little bit more active. But at the same time, there's nothing exactly wrong with the h6. It feels like it loosens the grip that white has.
Okay, let's talk about it. Rook e1, let's say at 6. The problem is if you go here, then this knight g4. But then I think we can go bishop f4 and kill the bishop.
Yeah, but now e5, and maybe he didn't like the tempo with this.
Quite sure, because you're losing a pawn here after all.
Yeah.
Capture. So
almost maybe. And then black's pawn structure is actually quite good against white. So maybe he was afraid of this, and so decided just to go h3.
Okay, safe move, bishop b7, queen e2. So okay, finally he's building some pressure on e5, e6.
Now you almost have to really. Okay, e5 is maybe the move I would have considered here. E5, I mean, OK can't trade. If you trade, this position is just amazing for white because the light squared bishop is blocked out. The knight wants to come to the d square, but it's just all the pieces are fighting for their same squares, and black with more space has to have some slight edge. But instead we see d5, which just invites e5, and then I'm not entirely sure what can really be done. It's just this looks a little hard to play, and now you can't even move your knight. Otherwise, we're gonna see e6, and this looks really deadly to me.
Yeah,
maybe you sack one with some knight to e4 here. It's just.
But then you're just down a pawn.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some way to not be lost.
I think you like it or not, black has to play e5. Black cannot simply allow e5, e6. If that comes, okay, it's just strategically lost. I mean, I know after this, there will be some weaknesses here, but you still get a game. You have some chances to make a comeback or play at 6 g5 at least, and you can try to play like King's Indian. But if you play d5, I mean, you simply ruin the bishop, and there is just no life afterwards for this bishop. The knight is going to get back. There's going to be e6 coming in. It is just very, very bad. Okay, he had some ideas with c4, but that doesn't buy anything, I believe, because it only creates weaknesses.
Yeah, okay. And now OK is just crashing through. You probably have to go knight here. And after takes, not even takes. Yeah, actually, I like this move. There's no reason to rush the take.
Absolutely.
H6.
And now, okay, what? He's just, okay, wait. This is not game over here. Okay, you can just capture here, I believe.
And then after takes,
I was wondering why not just take.
Yeah,
after you capture this.
I'm not sure. Knight here.
And it's just game over, I believe. I thought. Okay, you have to play something like this, and like
yeah,
you've got enough material, I believe. Again, this knight f3, knight e5 is deadly.
If you go knight f3, knight e5, don't I have some bishop c8, and maybe now I'm surviving?
Knight e5, yes, but then the problem is it's a check, so I'm playing knight g5, and now you need to defend this because there's no time to play bishop c8.
So now we go probably queen f8 here.
And something like this, at least, okay, I can play simply this move, but at least I have this. Let's say you capture, and I do this. And this is like so much of
good enough.
And
well,
also
knight back to e6. It's still
also this. Even this move, or even if I want to make it better, I can go knight f3 and threatening this, forcing you go here. And now again, I have a choice to capture one of this, probably e7, and I have got like 3 pawns and a rook for two pieces which are not active. So I think it's almost winning for white.
Yeah, this is definitely a position you want to be on the white side of. Who knows? Let's see what OK came up with. See if this is more accurate. But this looks very convincing to me. I think black is really going to struggle. Okay, so we see takes. Now we see takes. I'm surprised he didn't change the order on that one. If he was going to do it.
Yeah, that is why it was important to take first f7. Like even if you want to take on f6, you take first with the pawn because he cannot play king f7. It just submit in one. So he must capture with the rook. And okay, now it's your choice to capture this or this. You still get a chance, but probably he did not like. I don't know what he did not like, but because for this I can see this is coming for rook f6. We have got queen e7. So it was winning a pawn straightforward at least. But maybe he miscalculated something there, going into this, and now the pawn is being set. But maybe still is better because.
Yeah, this is very hard. You have to try something. Probably queen d6 here is the only play.
Yeah. And this definitely gives some chance to black.
d7 is just this is just losing, I think.
But maybe he got scared for g5, knight f3, knight e5 coming.
Yeah, I mean, I think black is lost either way here. But this was not.
Or maybe he has to play this harsh rook h8. Yeah. And that's why maybe he chose the lesser evil, trying to exchange queen down a pawn.
Yeah, in this position, I think black just resigned.
Maybe quite possible. Takes rook here, and rook a1 was coming next. The pieces are not connected. The knight is hanging. If you try to improve your knight, then the knight is going to e5 next, or even capture. Knight f3 is also possible, putting more pressure there. You try to be smart with knight e4. You get a check. King moves. You got 2 moves here to win as white. You can capture c4, e4 as per your preference, and white is winning. Or if you like to go positional, you can play f3 and just force your opponent to resign.
Yeah, and so I think we saw resignation. So a pretty clean victory by OK here. He just looks like he got tricked out of the opening, and OK is strong enough to convert a position like that. So very nice by OK.
So what we learn here is if you make a simple strategic mistake like pushing a wrong pawn instead of e5, if you play d5, the game could end in just 5 moves.
Yeah, and especially against a national master like OK, he's always a fierce competitor. He's always, going for these types of clamp positions because he's a positional player. He likes his solid positions, and he can also keep up in tactics. But yeah, when you give him a dream position like this, he's going to make it tough, and it looks like that's exactly what he did here.
All right, let's go to the next board where we have Ryan playing against Naga, which also ended in very fashionable style here with 24-move victory for white.
Yes.
It was a French defense, the classical Destinies variation. And okay, nowadays a6 is more popular here with the ideas of b5, bishop b7, but Naga went for queen b6.
Yeah, and I think this is a reasonable try to at least complicate things.
Yeah, but after a3, b4, white is very, very comfortable in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is one of the lines that you're supposed to avoid as black from what I've looked at before.
Yeah.
Because yeah, this line looks like white is just doing very well. Now I think I'm trying to remember. I feel like black technically has enough play here, but I never liked any of the resulting positions. Yeah, because after castles now there's some f4 in the air that might get scary. So maybe even f5 here is forced to stop ideas, or maybe g6. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I mean, white can just go f5 in this position and try to attack the king. There are lots of weaknesses. For example, f5, bishop b7. Let's just, I mean, just an example.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's say bishop b7 f5, and you can get a chance like this. You can just go knight h5 and queen h5, and it will be like game over. So that is why f5 was played, to block the f5 coming in.
Yeah, and I think this is a good play. And yeah, takes, pretty principled. Knight e5, sure. Knight takes, pawn takes, castles. Just giving up the piece.
Yeah, because again, if you move the bishop, it's almost checkmate.
Yeah.
And this is what happened. That is why you should not play moves like b6 in the opening and directly go f6, f5 or castle. Or better to avoid this line because of knight f4. This is very, very good. But even if you land somehow into this, you should directly go f5 or castle, something like this. There's no time to make moves like b6, because then it gives white chance to finish off the game in style.
Yeah.
White just won a piece there.
Yeah, and then we sack. Why are we doing this?
I mean, there was just no need to do this. But yeah, if you want to do some flex, maybe why not?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Okay, it takes. Yeah, okay. So there's some tactical reason. I wasn't looking at this.
Yeah, he did calculate some lines there.
Yeah, clearly. And now probably like rook to takes.
Yeah, what you were saying was simple. Just go rook up and just checkmate.
But maybe some knight to c6 was holding.
Sorry, knight f6, yeah. But then we have simply rook to c5.
Yeah, this is what I was looking at too. But maybe this is just as good because your bishop is bad. So
yeah, maybe he just wanted to do this.
Yeah, and this seems very, very principled. Yeah, now you go here, check, takes the queen, and yeah, we saw resignation. So very, very one-sided match here. Like I said, I think this is technically playable for black, but it's engine level precision. This is not something you can play as a human.
Yeah,
this particular line.
Yeah, absolutely correct. So we have got two players moving on to 3.5. It's okay, and Ran moving on 3.5. Let's see if they can join Titus and Dane on the top boards. Okay, let's continue there. So let's take one and two.
Jordan's game against Andy.
Yeah, why not? So it is also a crush here, but who has won this? It is I think black who has won this.
Jordan ended up winning this. Yes, so black with the victory here.
And it was Alekhine difference.
Yeah, this is not so popular at the club level, but this is it looks like something Jordan is familiar with because he's using no time. He's already got 3 more minutes than what he started with. G6. I'm not sure. I know G6. I normally see pawn takes, but G6 is maybe a line that Jordan has looked at.
Yeah. Yep. And it is very risky line. 4 pawns attack in Alekhine defense for both the players. If you don't know theory, you might lose in 15-20 moves even.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Look at the moves. It's like move 6 and white has played 6 pawn moves.
H4. I already feel like black has. I mean, just from pure principles alone, black has to be slightly better because now they've got this weakness that the bishop is sinking into, and I'm already really liking. Somehow black tricked white, and I'm loving their position. Yeah, what do you play? Knight to c3 and maybe king f2. Okay, bishop here.
It is with full of weaknesses. Doesn't look good for white. So he tries e6, a very nice blow actually. If you capture this, there's a bishop takes pawn.
Yeah, but there's a reason to react, isn't there? Maybe
And
you take, yeah, and then go king e7 because your king is pretty safe.
yeah, but how do you improve your queen after that?
Yeah, maybe put it on f8. So if you encato queen f8 and then try and target like this.
Maybe something like d5, c5, opening up position would have been stronger here, something like this. And if you capture then c5 and then trying to open up or blow up the position in the center. But white preferred king's f3, and black got a chance to capture this pawn. And after that, I think it is very, very solid. If white has to try something, I think d5 is the move. Or f5, I mean, trying to open a position. But f5, I prefer d5 because you need queen in the play. Without queen, I don't think white can achieve much here.
Yeah, I think we can just ignore. Yeah, we can ignore this f5 play because our bishop actually defends our pawn here, and the important e5 square is covered twice.
Even if I capture, what's the point? I did not get this. Like
yeah, this
d5,
is
d5.
Yeah, this is really probably good enough. Maybe they were afraid of some pawn push to get play, but Jordan is also playing really fast. He's used 6 minutes from his initial starting time, so maybe he's just saying this is good enough. Did the calculation? Maybe he wants some in this position, knight to e6, so d6, and rotate like this. But after
he did want some time here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, he did take some time. So maybe there's something scary that's he didn't like. Or maybe he just thought this was going to be the better chance for attacking, because Jordan is a player who refuses to defend. He will attack at all costs. He'll sack material. He'll just go for it. And so this is maybe his attempt to clog the position so his king can be safe, and then just go on an all-out attack for against white.
Maybe he just wanted to keep it safe and aggressive. I mean, he just wanted to keep the king safe and not have any checks. But this definitely gives some chance to white to make comeback. He plays 92, allowing knight e3.
Yep. And so for the person in the chat, I don't think Dane's game has finished, though it looks like it's very close. Dane is under a minute. We can check that in a little bit. But yeah, let's finish this Jordan Tim game. Here, but
too much attack.
Knight f3 check, gf3,
and knight b8. What a nice move! Fantastic. Because if you play bishop b6, there was queen c6, and if you capture this, then there's a queen e8. So you cannot really do that.
The bishop takes pawn is probably the only real try. Otherwise, we're losing some material.
Yeah, but for no reason you have blundered rook here, and now that cost you that will cost you the game, because otherwise you are doing fine, and for no reason you just gave up a full rook. Like in this position, okay, you could still play knight c3. Or at least you can start with b3 or something and then play the favorite 92 or bishop f4, whatever you like. But then if you play like this, for no reason, if you give like a rook, suddenly from d3 you bring your bishop to g6 to d3 to a6 just for a one shot. It's not going to work. Opponent is going to capture your pieces. He got 3 pieces in this process, or 2 pieces. Remaining of rook up and this. And it's a game over. Rook and knight is too much.
Yeah, and Jordan is a very strong player. He's been almost 2,300 before. He's a very tactical player. Positionally, I think is the only way you're gonna ever have a shot against him. His positional play is not as strong as his tactics. But that being said, he's still like I think a 22, 30, or 40 right now. So he has to have strong positional play, but especially up a rook. It's just a little bit too much.
Yeah, a rook and a knight extra. So these guys are extra and not needed actually. I mean, if they needed an end game, only they'll be used. But right now, I mean, look at the king. I mean, he did push all the pawns, but who's going to defend the king?
Yeah, and now what do you? Yeah, c6, and you just. I'm not quite sure I agree with how black is playing it, but it's good enough.
This is hard to explain. He could have just gone knight a6, knight c5, or anything else.
This is what I
but he just wanted to prevent this a5. He didn't want this any counterplay over here. He could have even just gone g3, opening up the lines, and if king g3, simply rook f4. And the idea is if rook f4, we have got bishop c7 winning on the spot.
Yep.
But maybe he did not find this positional idea of g3, as you said.
Yeah.
But maybe the bishop b8. I was wondering if actually I wanted to do this something business here and some queen to rook and trying to checkmate this king with the bishop or something, or at least I can always play rook b8. Yeah,
and you have enough material. This is good enough. You of course have to do the calculations. I mean, queen here is not bad by any means. It's just you know.
Yeah, anything you play, you just win as black. So here he resigned after rook f8 because of rook g8 coming in, the king being so exposed. Meanwhile, let's just go back to Dane's game because it was going very, very interesting. And oh, wow, what's happening here? It's John who's winning this. It's whose move? It's
Is
white
it
to play.
winning, or is it? I think it's drawn.
It's white to play, so he's gonna queen here. But I don't know why he's thinking here. This is the only move. Like he will capture or play queen f4, but he has to queen. Okay, he played it.
Yeah, there might just be a delay. I can't, or maybe Dane was walking around or used the washroom or something like that.
Quite possible.
Yeah, and this looks like a draw to me, but black clearly with the chances here.
I think black has very good practical chances because he has got extra protection of the G pawn to get away from the checks and also the time advantage on the clock. But let's just try to go back to the position where we left around here.
Yep. Around
try to
here,
what happened.
come here, force the trick, and yeah, Dane is known to push at all costs, even if he's over pushing. So this is actually a little surprising though, because Dane tends to play these pawn end games really well, and maybe he just missed something at some point. Let's see. So h5 seems to make good sense. h4 is almost.
Yeah, finally, John heard our advice. He played h5, preventing g4, h4 on the board, and g6, king d3. He understood that this could get risky for him, and he went c4 now.
King c4 e5. Now, yeah, now I'm actually not. f5. You lock it down.
Yeah,
now you
he did play. And now he did play f6 c5 because if he goes back, then probably he was worried about maybe he can play king d3, but then king d5. I don't like it.
Yeah,
and for king c3 simply capture, and we are working c5, winning the game. So
yeah, maybe
pretty
better. Takes king c3,
and this was almost winning. Like he's just going there. He went. I think he would have just gone here to win it faster because.
Is it faster? I don't know if it's faster.
King g4.
I think e3 is slightly faster because your c pawn is able to win.
Yeah, you have to actually end up capturing e3 as well. So, but maybe f4. Okay, let's calculate f4, gf4, king f4, king c6, g5, g5, king g5, king d6, h4. You move the king. h3, and it's a simultaneous winning.
No, it's not quite good enough. So maybe this is correct.
Yeah, what they played is probably the best. So no mistakes in the calculation part, at least.
Yeah, I think that's correct. So John, it looks like did take some time as well. So maybe this is just, he saw these lines and this is what he found.
But I don't like the next move. He played queen h2 check, giving simply okay. He just played king g4. It's so obvious. Like, and just try to push the pawn. There are no checks. Like queen is so passively placed.
Yeah. Instead, we see queen h3 though, which is a fast move.
Maybe offering a draw here.
Fine, but it's not. Yeah.
The only point I can see is after this, if you blend a queen f6, there's a queen g5.
Yeah,
it's black who's winning because it's going white has to move the king and he's gonna control the h square.
Yeah, so I think Dane will see this as well. So I don't expect this to be played.
But we saw
this is a draw. This is a draw. Because you just go like king b4, king b3, like anywhere, and you queen the pawn. This is just a theoretical.
Now you need to push the g pawn too, otherwise you lose.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and if black doesn't see this, of course, now white can win. But I expect probably king b4, king b5, and any king move off the h file, and this should be a draw because you're just gonna check forever. And with the h file, I don't think it's gonna be enough. I think Dane has calculated this correctly.
Yeah, but I think that was more psychological giving this check because I don't think anyone on earth would normally play queen h3 here because knowing that he's also queening. Because after this, I think it's very, very difficult because h4, h3, and queen g2 I can see coming in. And also I could give some checks if you move. And passive defense is not something I recommend in the queen games. Try to do active defense or give some perpetual. So try to create a pass pawn is something which players should look for. But maybe, as you said, John was Dan's student, and he maybe thought that he would try to exchange queens. And it worked out well for him. He's winning now simultaneously, and probably it is more or less very simple draw. After this, there's a queen f3 check.
Yeah.
So the only move is probably king h4. And okay, then he can also just bring the king near to make a draw.
If you
But
do this, yeah, queen, exactly.
Queen g4, yeah. So some trick still.
So maybe you just run your king in though, because there's like, so what if you're checked forever? It's still a draw, right?
Yeah, you can just bring the king.
So I think that's bring the king, just, you know, king c4, king d3. Nothing.
Sometimes it's also modified, like you play this, he plays 4, and again, you know, you cannot really give checks because of the queen interposing in between, and again, like you, after coming nearer, you realize that you cannot move your king anywhere further because of the checks coming in.
Yeah.
And some chances are still there for John. Let's see how it goes. It's going to be long. I think it's going to be a long game for both the players.
Yeah. John clearly with the winning chances though, but you know, with computer play, definitely not a lot.
So right now he just plays. He just played queen.
Some like queen f4, maybe. Just give another check.
Why not? This definitely gives more chance to draw here on the spot, because if he keeps again it will check. So he has to play something like queen g4. Only blunder is this here. You can still get all the checks. I think we can just queue queen
f2. I think queen h2 is also good enough.
As long as you don't blunder, queen e5, queen f5, everything is fine.
Queen g5, now you go,
but this allows something like this, which I don't like. You can push further.
Queen back to d1, and it's just nothing to do.
Yeah, but the problem is sooner or later, you know, you'll be running out of checks after king h3.
Sure.
Here's my
queen g1 though. It's so. I think it's too much, too many checks.
You have to give queen d4 check, and the problem is with moves like this, you still make a draw. Computer-wise, everything is draw, but as a human, you have to find the only moves, and which makes it difficult with less time on the clock.
Yeah, definitely hard to play. But I mean, I think if you keep checking and you don't trade queens, there's not a lot to do. But we'll see, because Dana's very low on time, so anything can happen.
Yeah, I think John has very good chances of winning here if he tries to think a bit and try to trick his coach.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Right. Shall we take a look at the Sophia versus Tim game on board 6?
Why not? Yes. And the good part is all the games are going on today. So
yes,
it's like I think almost 2 hours and a half. The players are playing, and still like we don't have any. Okay, we have 6 boards out of top 8 going on.
Mm-hmm. All right. So it looks like in this position, White is going to be winning this one. So Tim should convert this with the 2 extra pawns. But let's see how we got here. Sophia's a very strong player. I think she's 17 or 1800 right now, but she definitely plays a lot stronger. She's taken down a few 2000s before. So Tim looks like he has a comfortable position at the start. Somehow Sophia, I think, might have gotten move ordered into this, because this looks very pleasant.
Yeah, very individual Sicilian here by Tim. And yeah, Black was completely doing, I mean, fantastic out of the opening. To me, this queen looks really awkward.
Yeah, this queen is maybe more suited back on her starting square or some other square, but there's some potential for attack. Yeah, queen to g3 here is probably what I'd play, and see if we can get some bishop to h6 to create an attack. Okay, but instead it's bishop g5, which makes good sense as well. Queen here, trade the bishops, and g6 I'm not such a fan of.
Yeah, simply f5.
Yeah, it creates this hook. I think retreating your knight beforehand might have been more advantageous. Yeah,
I'm surprised not just f5. Like, you can just simply play this, like takes, and at f5 we have got rook f5 here. But maybe there's some h6 idea, and
yeah, h6 is maybe scary, and then after queen back. No, you're still doing okay though, no? But okay, yeah. maybe he's afraid of some king h7, and where's the attack exactly?
That could maybe, but I like something like this happening, or just try to trade and get knight in. Like, this
this trade is strong.
But okay, maybe d5 was there, and but whatever it is, g6 is definitely a bad move.
Yeah, knight f6 is really calling to be played here. There's no reason to create this hook.
Or maybe she could have just gone d6 and prevented everything and continued the game. Some ideas attacking here or something.
Yeah, maybe even d5 here is more called for than what happened.
Yeah, but d5, I thought maybe e5, and the knight is getting a bit awkward. Like you have to play knight h5, and like you're again play g6 after capture. So I wanted to avoid that for some reason.
Yeah, I'm liking this a little bit more than the other option because now this pawn isn't supported. But you're right. Maybe this is not the perfect plan. I was eyeing this f5 square. Just now we go knight back, knight f5. But maybe he has some g4 and it could start getting scary. But I'm not actually.
But not immediately. Maybe just rook f3 first to get some pressure there.
Yeah, maybe this is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what was played here, I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not saying it could have done any better. I'm just saying I'm not a fan of what happened.
Yeah, and simply black lost material here, and this is where the game started to fall in white's favor. Because if d4, then there was a e5, and the problem is after you move the queen, there's the capture, and or just simply knight e4 coming in. So you have to lose your good bishop for the knight, and then even the ideas like this are very, very dangerous. Moves like h5 can be made with g4 at times, f5 at times, and maybe Sophie got scared and she decided to play c4, giving up a pawn there.
Yeah, I'm not so sure what Sophia calculated here, but it's clearly just not enough. Yeah, takes.
Yeah, white also got another pawn there.
Takes. Yeah, and now it's 2 pawns, which is too many against someone as strong as Tim. Yeah,
I would say 1.5. This pawn is a bit weak.
Yeah, and I mean it'll probably drop off, but the problem is the c pawn is also a little bit soft.
Yeah, true.
So I think even if we lose one, we'll manage. And I actually think
it was
took the wrong pawn here. Yeah, I think you need to take that pawn there just so you get at least a 2-on-1. Even though one of them is a pass pawn, maybe you have more chances. Yeah, Tim's just got, I think, too much.
Yeah. But still, the thing to worry here for white is how to create a pass pawn. Like you are up a pawn from both sides, but not that easy to create a passer. I mean, you have to do some maneuvering because black pieces are quite active and might be threatening, maybe giving some threat very soon.
Yeah. Okay. Knight e1 is actually, I think, quite nice with this maneuver right here. And now
knight g4. The idea is king f5, trying to trick.
Yeah.
Check is winning.
Check. What?
And can he play h4? The idea was gs3, rook check, king moves, rook into bishop, but then there's h2. So
yes, really. Maybe I think the idea instead of that is just going rook all the way back and then chasing the king away, maybe.
Yeah, king f6 and rook g8 is possible. Now threatening knight g4, knight h6. So yeah, and now this forces some kind of rook a4 or rook h1, which is definitely winning if you go to h1. So maybe rook a4 is something which we need to play.
So maybe
yeah, close to winning, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I think this is just it's too much.
So this is the live position right now. Both the players down to 2.5 minutes roughly.
Shall we check the board 7 UV versus
definitely
David?
Yeah, and this game is right now stuck here, or this is the live position. Let's put it like this. And if I'm not wrong, white looks like a rook down here. Yeah, there's no rook here.
And it looks like they're also going to lose this knight at some point.
Yeah,
they're not necessarily going to take it, but because it looks a little scary. But
I believe you can take it. There's only one threat, I think, when b7, putting some pressure here.
We might have some queen to e6 though, which is what
I thought about queen e6, but it's not much. Just you can move the.
And then we bring our rook down.
And then b7. Okay, like that you want. But okay, queen e2, queen e6. There's no threat because we are defending this.
No threat, and you can even sacrifice a rook for the bishop if you really are.
But there could be threats like this, for example, takes and rook b7. But luckily we have got rook c7 ideas or bishop c7 ideas.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work. So probably it just lost.
Yeah, and UV might just take the knight.
Maybe this is the only real threat.
d7. And okay, but this is not going to be enough. Yeah.
And something like this, if you could bring rook in.
You know,
And I
there's
believe
some
d2 will,
tricks, but it's not enough.
yeah, it's
Yeah, and instead of there, you might even just bring your knight in to threaten checkmate on the e3 square.
just checking. Yeah.
And it's just, yeah. No, and I think this is a good attempt. And actually, wait, if we go rook there, can we go bishop takes g7?
d7, yeah, I thought about it. And there's a check also coming in if you go here, so you have to go here again, and it is some game. Like there are some chances here.
Yeah.
It's not without chances. But okay, I found one idea. 93 and queen e5, we can play rook g7 here to seal the game.
Yeah. Yep. Very nice. Yeah, and there's the bishop holds. So yeah, I mean, it looks like just because of the extra material, there's gonna not be a whole lot to do.
And
yeah, and we see bishop d7, and UV I think he's a very strong calculator. I think he's going to find this continuation where he gives up this exchange and is able to hold everything.
Yeah, so definitely UV is winning here, but David is still looking for the last chances.
Can we take a look at the opening to see how we ended up getting here? Because I'm not so sure. Okay, so we see
some Retislav system.
Yep. I like how Black is playing this very solid. Kind of how like you play against a d4 opening instead of the ready.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, I had a very much similar game against Fedosov in the BL Masters, and he played. I mean, we had a very much same setup more or less, and he did some great idea here. He had some preparation in queen b1, rook c1, and some b4 ideas. It was equal, but in the end, he did beat me in the end game. But yeah, it's an interesting setup to play and very solid.
Yeah, and now white is running. Okay, yeah, d4, and now this is not. Yeah, this can't be good because it closes off the bishop. It gives this a center square away, and this is a setup that Black plays to try and counter this d4 setup. And now you're in this position with one less tempo, so it can't be good.
He's trying for e4, but now I believe some c5 would work. Yeah,
I like c5 as well. Queen d1. Now just d4 yourself. Yeah. Close off this bishop, grab more space, and now you can't even push the e1.
Yeah, why not? And just get queen like this.
Yeah, queen b1, queen b6.
Keeping everything tight down here, not allowing the knight's movements. Okay, I would have loved rook e5, e4, straightforward plan, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think any plan for Black is going to be pretty.
He got this juicy knight d5. White was careless. He could have played queen d3, but then he goes knight d4, and that was the hidden idea of bishop to a7, putting a trap here to get knight d5. And White fell for it, and yes, after that it's I think very simple win for Black, because then the knight is coming here after capture. The rook is going to come inside at some point.
Yeah, this looks quite bad. That knight
he did get some tricks there with knight, but then, as I said, there are lots of winners in Black White's camp, so the empire is going to fall very soon.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, this is tricky.
I think David was just trying to survive one move every time.
Do you know what David and UV's ratings are? I think UV is around 2,000, 2,100.
Yeah, we can get them.
So sure. David
is 2025 and David is 1,500.
Okay, that makes some sense then, because this does feel like a positional just being outplayed. And I was curious if David was maybe slightly lower rated because of the way that Black seems to be getting an advantage.
Yeah, he just got properly outplayed.
Very nice.
And yeah, maybe even 93 was even faster here. I mean, there was just no need to capture on d2, as you said.
Yeah, but I think UV down to 2 minutes, he sees I have got a knight.
Okay, we do see this thing coming in. He captured on f5 here directly. Now
we bring in our bishop.
Yeah, we can do this everything.
Yeah, here after capture on f5 though, I think I think this is not enough because now we have
I
bishop
mean,
to
the
d4.
simplest win is this. You just play this. And
Yeah,
you
this
get it
is probably the cleanest play. Bishop d4, I think, is to keep the mating chances alive though.
back.
And then we
But
go
he
bishop
allows
back to
b7.
close. Now we go bishop back to g.
I would have just gone queen g2 and just one with some flex here.
Yeah, maybe UV is afraid that it's possible to mess that endgame up, so he's just going for the straight.
Yeah, but I believe it's hard to lose this pawn, and you can just checkmate with 3 pieces.
Yeah,
because rook is very. I mean, even if you have the 3 pieces, I guess a queen you win. So I think rook is very less powerful piece to hold or create some chances. Let's see if he finds this, or if he tries to go something like bishop g7 or rook g7 ideas.
I think with 30 seconds, he's going to play some bishop g7. But you got to calculate it because now you might even have a rook sack.
You got him right. He went back.
Yeah, UV is he's a very safe player, and so I didn't see him making any spectacular sacrifices to win the game.
Whoa, wait a second. Can he play this?
Yeah, and this is what I would probably try as white because UV is down to some low time, and if he doesn't play it right, maybe some perpetual will save the game.
I think king g7 is the only move because you cannot play g7. There's a perpetual already.
Yep. So, but after king here, I don't know. You can't go there. Yeah, but here, and then queen back check. Maybe no. Maybe
I have got this, and I'm gonna run like this. Maybe like this. You have to give.
But no, you run up.
Yeah, and for moves like this, I got queen coming in between. I can give a knight,
and then you check
queens.
Yeah. So yeah, and this is probably enough because then there are no more checks.
Okay, he might win a knight with this.
No, but this is you just block with the queen. So yeah, I think this is good enough.
Yeah, so you just played queen g6 and now this. Now
surprised you're not seeing knight in to try and checkmate again. This is very surprising to me. This move has been screaming to be played several moves in a row. This knight to e3. But I mean, this is obviously good enough. I'm just surprised we didn't see.
Yeah, I mean, this is a simple win. Like, there's no tactic here, no any CS threat. This is just game over in 2 moves. Even if it is a quiet, there's a mate in 2 here.
Yeah, still tricky. Clearly, just not on the radar. Otherwise, this would have probably been played the last few moves. But good enough. But good enough, and I think that's what UV's going for. He's trying to do not a ton of calculations. He's just saying, you know what, I'm winning. Doesn't matter how I win as long as I win.
Yeah, and chess, we do see such things happen. The time pressure make you play any moves, literally any kind of blunder, any kind of safe move, any kind of I mean, that's the beauty of the game. I mean, the pressure brings unpredictable moves. Sometimes those are brilliant moves, sometimes it could be a mistake or a blunder, but that makes it entertaining, that because the audience cannot guess what's going to happen next in the pressure situation.
Okay, and finally we see the move, but maybe a little late now that the queen is off the square. But now I think UV's going to see this idea of just going here and trying mating.
Yeah, and still, like, the thing is, white cannot defend this queen d2. Like, even if he goes rook d6, okay, then he can go queen b2. So there are multiple threats coming in.
Yeah, and I think because of this, it's just I might have even resigned, but there's no reason to resign. I probably would have said I'm going to take an early lunch and stretch, but there's still game to be played if you think UV's not going to see them.
Yeah, he gets the
rook. So now we might actually see resignation because this is a little too much.
Yeah.
So let's move to game 8. We can, I think, fairly safely say UV will be able to convert this. This position right here looks like a draw to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Nothing.
just the same issue. It was a Caro-Kann, so we actually witnessed probably 7 to 8 different openings on every single board today.
Mm-hmm. It takes here. Do we see? Okay, we see this line before bishop. Queen here.
This is not good. G6 is not good. You have to try 97, try and sacrificing some pawns and get some activity.
Yeah, 97 is what I've learned before. 97 and black can start attacking pretty quickly. G6 is probably playable, but you got
strategically very bad.
You just got to go queenside or something, even though it looks a little scary. Yeah, okay. I'm not
actually fine. Knight b6 now will kill everything.
Yeah, I'm knight b5 now. Yeah, okay, castles. This looks a little scary to me. But f5 is I think a pretty good play. I'm surprised.
Yeah, but how do you defend? I'm surprised how White did not win this.
Yeah, I'm surprised also f5. I'm not sure why we didn't take to open up our bishops.
Maybe because the king is in the center, he got a bit scared. Yeah, generally, yes, we do take, but then if e5, d4 comes in somehow like this, it could be a problem. Even if because he has not castle, he has the option of just doing h5, 6, queen h6, and g5.
Yeah.
So quite a safe choice.
And Kyler is not one to take risks. I've faced him before, and he likes playing very solid, no nonsense chess, where he doesn't really have any chances to lose. Yeah, here
some tactics.
Yeah, knight d5 though. I think knight d5 and you're quite good. Queen takes. I missed queen. Wait, takes. Don't we take?
This was a problem at g6, bishop e5. Wow. Can you survive like playing like this on the earth? It's just capture or this. Everything looks fantastic. Okay, so capture, king h8, queen e5, queen g7, transposes probably.
Yeah.
Can I just play here some kind of no, I cannot play rook s7 because knight g6.
Yeah, I was looking at this too.
This is very surprising. If you survive by playing like this, it's a miracle.
Yeah, g4. I'm not such a fan of this move.
Yeah, I just said before and drops all the pawns.
Yeah, and now maybe black even wins.
Yeah,
yeah. And
maybe black is already holding
this. You gotta almost like push your. Well, actually, this is a little tricky. Maybe now I'm starting to like black, because they've survived, and now your pawns are a little awkward. I don't understand why you don't just take this b pawn.
Same question.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's just obvious. You just take on b4, and this is your pawn anyway. You can play this anytime, but you can create some counterplay here. You get a chance to win a pawn for the first time in the game, but you say no. I just want that pawn.
Yeah, I believe Paulo is considerably lower rated than Kyler, so maybe it's just he sees a way to draw and goes for it.
Yeah, you're right. So this game is way too sick.
Yeah.
So Paulo
is an attempt to kill the game, which, you know what, against Kyler, that is a very, very respectable result. Now, you could, of course, push for more. And my philosophy is, if you have a better position, just play it. This is probably one of the few times that Kyler is going to blunder something like this, because Kyler is a very strong player. Even against like other masters, he's not going to get positions like this. So I would have tried to push on, but you know what? I also can't fault him for taking a draw against someone who's a very, very, very formidable opponent.
I think there are two ways in this position to play for win with white. One is just try to play this, and if your opponent blunders something like rook h2, okay, you already get a piece here, or very strong position in general. Or if you want to try okay, this is also a very good idea in general to win a pawn. Or I think also this is also a very good chance, because if you just bring your king like this, I don't know how. Okay, there's just no need to play f4 because you need king here to win this. And after king g6, king g3, I think we have a good chance to win here. If this is coming, this is coming. If you go here, then maybe king f4 is strong. King d4 is also strong. In my opinion, I would have just won this just by going to b6, e7.
Yeah, maybe it's not like objectively winning, but I think practically speaking, you're really close to losing as black because all your pawns are in the wrong color.
Yeah.
But instead, we saw f4, which, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of either, because now you can't really attack this pawn.
Now it's just a draw.
Yeah, and
but okay, wait, what black is doing? He's going like here.
Kyler is okay with a draw in this position.
But Paulo is inviting troubles. Like, there was just no need to get king here. Like, the king is stuck now. Bishop f3, c4 someday. We never know.
Yeah.
Okay, b6 is a good move.
Yep, and now it's going to be a draw.
Yeah, it's going to be a draw. Okay, he did push one square further. Is he going to try king d4? No, it's a bit too much.
Yeah, I don't survive that.
So yeah, this is the right board and position. And okay,
it looks like they agreed to a draw, and after queen h1, they just agreed to a draw.
Yeah, so we left it here around. We saw, okay, no, we didn't left it here. We left it around here. So the king g5. queen d2 check.
Yeah. And it looks like Dane just showed he has a good enough technique. Even low on time, Dane is really good at defending these positions. Yeah, very nice.
Okay, so went here, and now he started giving checks. In my opinion, he would have just gone something like his and trying to go forward with the king, but this is simple.
Yep, and yeah, and I think Dane showed some pretty good technique here.
This would have been tried, something like this again. But okay, queen e7 should be drawn. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Dane is just going to check forever. So
and we do have
a result on board 1-2. Looks like Titus was able to convert. Yeah, a lot of extra material here. Let's see how this position happened. So earlier we saw Titus was up a pawn, and this was the position. And okay, he plays king over. I think he wants to move the knight.
This is very bad.
But rook e8, rook e8. Wait, rook e8, king e8, king f4. This looks.
I think this is a very, very big blunder. You cannot try to exchange rooks when you are down material. Like, whatever it is, you have to try something or any other something or other. Maybe.
Yeah, there's no reason to do anything. I think you can just sit on your position here and argue. You can't do anything because the second you do this, now white is clearly getting some winning chances. And once you split your pawns, now this is going to be really, really tough, especially against.
This is just game over. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and with this anchored pass pawn, little too much, and
he did some crazy things there, giving up the a4 pawn, but then he got the a5 in time, so everything was good enough there.
Yep.
Some rendering. He did manage to get the c5 as well.
Yeah, and this is clearly too much. And now it's just a matter of technique. And I mean,
he designed here.
Yeah, I don't know why you allow your bishop to be taken. But it got trapped, I guess, which he didn't see.
Because you want to resign.
Yeah. Yeah, and okay, very, very nice technique by Dane here. I believe that Sophia's game against Tim finished off too. We already saw the end. Yeah, let's back up. How do you win the other two pawns?
Okay, so let's maybe we have got almost all the games done here, more or less. So let's just do a recap from board one. So we have Titus Andrew winning the game and being the sole leader of the event with 4 out of 4 points, trailed by Dane, John, and I believe also
Okay's, I think, tied as well as Robert Donahue, who abide this round and next round.
So there are 3 guys trailing behind Titus. Probably Dane will play against Titus as he is the highest seed.
Yep.
In the final round. Not final round, but the 5th round. Then we did witness this game where OK played a very nice game to take advantage of the positional mistake done by Wang here to get e5, 6 break. And it was just game over after that. So OK is also is on 3.5, and so as the Ran here winning with the white pieces, moving to 3.5. So we have got how many players? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5. Robert. 5. So we have got 5 guys trailing on 3.5 with Andrew Titus as a sole leader with 4 points, going into the 5th round. Okay, so we did talk about this game. Jordan playing a fantastic game. Very good tactical abilities to finish off Andy.
And then our game with Sophia versus Tim looks like it wrapped up, and Sophia was resigning because she's losing the bishop. And yeah, this is what we saw earlier. And after takes, I suppose it's just too much.
Yeah, we left it up here.
I think she has to step the other way so her king can come and protect the pawn. Because in this position, there's just no ways to defend.
Yeah, she just went back. Maybe she would have captured and tried to. Okay, there's no try here because white is just 2 pawns up.
Yeah.
So whatever you do is just losing, more or less. There's a b4 also coming in, losing material.
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay,
yeah, white
my sense.
b4. Probably it was just winning a piece here.
Are you? Wait, b4 king over push, and then can't we step back?
Yeah, but I thought maybe knight c4. But okay, you have got king c7.
Yeah, and we're sure.
Yeah, the bishop can be. Yeah, it's not winning.
But we're not quite trapping it.
Maybe just rook at 6 and slow poisoning is good here. You won this.
Yeah, and I think Tim was just spoiled for choice. He could have played b4, which might have even been more accurate to stop the safe on from pushing. But yeah, anything wins when you're up 3 points of material in an endgame like this.
You just have more chances, and now when he got the 4th pawn for free, and b4, king d4, and now okay, just c4 anything, and okay, Sophia decided
it's too much. Yep. And then on the last board, it looks like Kyler's game ended in a draw, I presume. I don't think
this was a good game by UV, I believe.
UV played fantastic here. Just found a way to win material and, played a very principled opening, just playing against a d4 opening. And then eventually the opponent decided to play d4, which was probably not advisable. It got them into a lot of trouble because UV is very good at those types of positions. And then, yeah, clearly something went wrong, and UV is winning yet another piece. So black will have 6 points of material edge and still have some mating attack with this beautiful knight on e3.
Moving to the last board, can you tell about this?
Yeah, and this one I was actually thinking white was going to be able to push for a win here, but they decided to trade down all of this, and yeah, for some reason played f4 in this position. I think Kyler just was satisfied with the draw. He just said, you know what, my opponent's played well, and I mean, showing him some respect. I would have tried to push a little bit more, but if he thinks his opponent can do computer accurate play, he's probably right. This is probably completely equal. So maybe just showing some respect here and letting his opponent get to some equal position.
Yeah. So very good survive by Paulo here. Surviving into this. So I think, yeah, with this we did finish all the live boards of round 4.
We can take a look. Round 2 and 3 yesterday, I believe we cut out before we saw any of those rounds. So if we'd like, there were a few games that we wanted to highlight. One was, I believe, Robert Donahue versus Jordan Tim, where it was just a wild tactical game back and forth. And Robert, being an incredibly strong player, ended up finding the last blow to take out Jordan. A very, very tense game for sure. But yeah, let's take a look. So Jordan always plays this d4. He really loves his Jobava Londons, so he always goes for this. And yep, here's his Jobava.
And d5, and we have got this position. Let's flip a board. And how about asking the audience about getting their favorite games to be reviewed from round 2 and round 3? Yeah, I mean, of course we're going to review this one, but after that, maybe we can take one or two games from the audience choice.
Yeah, if you have any recommendations or games that were played on any of the digital boards that you want to see, feel free to recommend them, and we can also look at them. Yeah, so Robert playing very principled, probably pawn e3, yep, knight e4 by Robert. A little bit bold. I feel like it's a pretty good attempt, but yeah, it's going to get sharp after some exactly what Jordan played g4.
I mean, such moves you play to get your opponent out of the book, and it's interesting option. You just trying to get him out of the typical Joba Valentin attack or something like this coming in. So you play knight e4, you say that, okay, I'm going to destroy your pawn structure. What are you going to do? Honestly speaking, he would have captured here. It's a simple move, but he went g4, creating weakness. Bishop comes back, h4, and h5 suddenly. So now this definitely gives chance for black to strike. And guys, can you guess the next move? The next move was really boom, boom, boom.
I mean, I think it's a brilliant move. I would never have played it myself, but I actually really like this play after seeing it. Just because, there's a lot of potential for attack for black if they can just get their pieces out and develop quickly. But this is something I never would have even considered, which is why Robert is such a strong player.
And he goes e5, guys. Fantastic move, eyeing for bishop b4 next, irrespective of you capture with bishop or pawn.
Yeah, and I feel like this is maybe something that Jordan missed, because this is a stunning play. Looks like it's a blunder, and then you realize, oh no, I'm in a little bit of trouble. And it almost forces like knight e2 here, but then you start kicking around white with moves like f6 and bring your knight out, and all of a sudden white is behind in development. And they're going to get attacked pretty quickly.
And maybe Jordan just thought if it's a blunder, he's getting a pawn. After knight e2, everything is all right. But Robert had something in his sleeves. He plays f6. After take, he's not capturing, guys. He's not capturing back, because then the bishop will go back and everything is all right. He understands this and he goes double O right away. Like he's like, okay, take my pawn, take this pawn. I'm just gonna play rook f2 and destroy your king in the middle of the board. So this is really, really high class, brilliant play, or a very brave play by Robert, opening up or sacrificing the third pawn to open up the file.
Yeah, and the big thing that the big problem for white is they're not able to move, even though they have this extra material. There's nothing they can do with it, because they're so pinned up and everything is defending everything. And Jordan tries a very, very logical move. I'm thinking he plays rook g1 here, and I'm thinking, my opponent's going to play king to h7, right, and defend. But Robert comes up with yet another brilliancy after this move.
Yeah. So rook g1 was played. Maybe here it was necessary to play some kind of a a3 to get rid of this pin, because then rook f6 will not really work. That's strong, because you have got bishop f6, queen f6, and simply rook h2. And then the moment you unpin this, it will be fine for white. But Robert thought, okay, let's just rook g1, as you said. And maybe after king h7, maybe thought he'll play h3, or get something here, or sacrifice if he gets a chance to play knight f4. And he had some ideas. But then after rook g1, I'm pretty sure when Robert must have played rook f6, it would have been a big shock.
Yes. Yeah, and this is a move that you don't even really consider, but Robert is trying to attack, and this is a really aggressive move. Even though maybe computer doesn't like it, this is really going to be hard to defend. And after bishop takes, queen takes, rook g2, knight c6, you're really feeling stuck as a white. I'm not even sure what to do here.
And as like normal human response, trying to unpin, Jordan played h3 just to get another shock with rook f8.
Yeah, just giving up yet another piece. And you know what, this is maybe this is already like really, really bad. I don't see any great ways.
The whole point here is after ab4, knight f2, you cannot play queen g2, because there's a beautiful knight d3 coming in with checkmating ideas and just finishing up the game. You have to give up the queen here if you want to survive for some few more moves, but it just came over.
Yeah.
So he has to give up the rook. And after king b2, there was another dangerous move here by Robert. Knight takes b4, attacking the c2 pawn.
And really, white's king is not comfortable in this position. And the thing is, Jordan still can't really move. Jordan may be up a piece, but black has several pawns, and their king is still on the run. And I don't see any plan to unwind. Because if Jordan has a few moves and can run his king to b1 and get his bishop out, maybe some chances. But the problem is Robert isn't going to give him time. And if Robert is able to even take the h pawn, he can start running it, and all of a sudden maybe you're losing, because he's going to queen and win that material back, and now your position is just falling apart.
And if you play something like rook c1, then there's a simple move, rook e8 or rook f3, falling to queen e3 checkmate, more or less very soon happening, because then the king cannot run anywhere, everything is under pain, you cannot really move them. So Jordan tried to play queen e1. The idea is, of course, queen e1, he wants to play rook e1 and not blunder the fork. But okay, simply he went back to f5, giving another checkmate trade. So now this makes it makes difficult for Jordan to save the pawn. He can try e4, but then again after d takes e4, there's an e3 coming in, creating more problems for him. So he played queen to rook to c1 and knight c2 coming in with queen d3 checkmate trade. He had to play e4 at the end to defend it. D takes e4. king c2, and now the game enters the more beautiful phase from here onwards.
Yep.
So Robert has sacrificed another piece to get Jordan's king off the board. He has to come up now, because if he goes back, we do have queen here, and after king b3, the final shocker comes for the Jordan, with rook taking part in the final knockout.
Yeah, and this is just, even though you have all this extra material, none of it is playing, and that's really the big issue. I think that knight to a4 here, which is what Jordan played, is maybe not correct. I think you got to try something like knight to, I don't know, g3, for example. Try and get your bishop in to at least cut off this h6 square, so the rook can't come over to give checkmate in the future. And maybe Engine even says that white is better, because this is a lot of material. But practically speaking, I'm not sure I could defend this. This is a really vicious attack with your king in the open, and all the diagonals are being cut off by the bishop. It's just very tough to play.
It is really super scary. We can have a small look at it. So the point is, the computer point is, after this check, you can just go back to a3, and there's no more rook a6 check or something, and the queen is attacked, so white gets some time to make a comeback. And if you capture like this, capture, you can get your queen back into the game. But wait, there's this check, right? And okay, you go king c3, then there's this check, and you have queen c5, and you just survive on the edge. Like if you go here, then the c1 was hanging. If you go this side, after this, then again there are some checks coming in, creating problems. So it was very, very risky. I mean, it was very difficult for white to find the exact defense. And he found knight a4. He thought, okay, let's just prevent rook coming to b6. But this knight on the corner is actually making the life of making the life of white king more difficult, as it loses control over the key squares and the central squares, allowing bishop f7 coming in. Now the king cannot go to a2. He has to hide on a3. But he went c3, allowing rook c6 check. I believe king a3 would have been a better defense here in this position. Maybe rook a6 next, or queen d5.
Yeah, queen d5 looks a little tricky.
Yeah, queen d5, I think, because we are giving a double checkmate threat here, and probably there for this reason he went king c3.
Yeah. But now, yeah, after rook here, Robert finds another stunning move after rook to c6, knight blocks. He uncorks basically the final brilliancy of the game.
The final sacrifice.
Yeah. And now it's just, the king has nowhere to run, and that's the big issue. If you take, we can show the viewers that queen takes, king over. This bishop comes in giving checkmate, because the pawn is cutting off the escape square going back, and the queen holds it. So everything is cut off. Just really beautiful coordination. You know, you might be up basically like a knight, or a knight and a rook, but there's nothing to do, right? So of course Jordan can't take this. So instead he tries king b4, and Robert finishes off, I think, quite nicely. Really nice play here, queen d5, keeping it under control, and just nothing to do.
Checkmate.
Yeah, queen c3 only attempt, rook a5, really nice play. What a nice find. I mean, there were a million ways to win. This is probably the flashiest. I do appreciate it, because of course, if the king slides over, as Nubairshah is showing right here, we have queen checkmates, because the rook holds it. And if we see what happens in the game, queen takes rook. Now Robert finds this nice play.
Jordan showing respect to his opponent, allowing him to checkmate with a rook sacrifice. So I think very good sportsman spirit by Jordan there, to allow his opponent to checkmate for playing a beautiful game of chess. Yeah,
Jordan showing great sportsmanship, and Robert is also really, really a good sport too. Just in general, like just this last week, I faced Robert on the Thursday nighter, and I was beating him, you know, because he beat me in the open with a Latvian line, and then, you know, in the middle game I got the better of him, and then I won a knight, and then actually in the end game I played a move. I played queen to e7, or sorry, queen to e7, or at least I thought I did. I actually let go on f7, which blundered the queen, and Robert, being very classy, said, I mean, I said, I actually told him, like, I meant to play queen e7, and I went in to resign, and he just went, if that's not the move you want to play, let's undo it. And so he's also a very classy player. He'd like to beat you, blame you, not because you let go on the wrong square here. So it's just two very classy players, letting him play it out, and Robert being classy, just in general as well. So did we see, it looks like someone wanted to look at Okay's game here. We can take a look at Okay's game. I don't know if he's...
Yeah, it was also from round 2 or round 3, because round 2 or
I mean,
3?
Ryan is a very strong player, so we can look at round 3. I'm not sure if they didn't specify which round over here.
Or maybe we can take a short break and come back.
Yeah, we can take a short break and then come back.
Yeah. All right. Or also we can have a look at the pairings if they have. Okay, not yet arrived. Yeah, for round 5. We don't have.
Yeah, maybe some of the non-GGT boards are still finishing up here, so there could still be some players playing. Although it is about that time where all the games should be wrapping up.
All right, so maybe let's just finish this game and from round 3, and then we'll take a small break, and then after the break we'll review the games for round 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So Okay with the black pieces playing a French. I believe Okay quite enjoys French. I've seen him play it on a number of occasions, though I'll be honest, I haven't looked at his black repertoire too closely, just because I've never had the luck of pulling the white pieces against him. So here we go. Yep, very standard French.
Yeah, very standard French, the Taras variation of French.
And I assume we're going to see, okay, knight g3,
Yep.
takes.
We should see 4 or very much natural, or the main line of Taras.
Yep.
Knight d4, knight d4, knight d4. Bishop is pretty standards till now.
Yeah, and black is feeling very comfortable here. I don't think this is the most challenging way to play with the white pieces, but it's definitely a very solid way, especially against, you know, Okay, who might have more prep. You probably don't want to go into super theoretical lines where you might push for more, because he's probably looked at them, considering he plays this, you know, fairly often.
Yeah, but in general, I think Ryan chose this line because it gives a very simple play to white. Maybe not enough advantage, but a simple position to play on with bishop open, knight active. And if black could not solve this problem of the bishop, it could be some serious problem for black. But yeah. Okay, I think being an experienced player in French, let's see how they resolve this issue.
Yeah, and another thing that Nubair was saying, you want to play simple chess, and especially in this time control. You know, it's an hour, which sounds like a lot, but when you start really having to tank because you're playing some complicated lines, an hour really goes quickly. So keeping it simple is a very good idea when you have so little time compared to normal classical chess.
And especially playing against high-rated opponents.
Oh yeah.
So he does so simply. He just goes queen c7, attacks the bishop, and simply threatening to come up with like this. There's no bishop f4 time here because the bishop is hanging, and he gets bishop d7. So bishop f4 again. We have got e5, no knight b5. So completely working for black.
Yeah, and now Okay, I think is looking a little bit better, just because the pieces are feeling like they're coordinating better. I'm not sure if it's a big advantage, but I definitely like black's position here. It seems very solid.
Absolutely.
You probably play some knight d5 and you're winning the bishop pair. All of a sudden, I'm actually really liking the chances. I think instead of bishop back, maybe you go bishop to h4 instead and choose the diagonal here. Yeah, exactly like this. This is maybe a little bit more active than playing bishop back and letting the knight trade itself off. But it's not like a huge concession, but it's still giving black some pull that probably they shouldn't have.
Yeah, so this was something necessary for white to do this, because after bishop e3, knight d5, as you said rightly, black gets a bishop pair advantage, and white has nothing to play for or compensation to compensate that. Simply, this is even bad. If you play queen e3, we do have bishop c5 coming in, e5 coming in later on. But if you play knight c3, I mean, this destroyed is further because you have now another weakness to defend.
Yeah. So yeah, and very nice play, just stopping anything from the b5 square, swinging over, just keeping everything very solid and protected. There's not really a lot of attacking potential as white, and black has a lot of momentum, I think, just because of the last few plays, as well as the bishop pair to to create something. And now maybe we'll even see like e5, f5 to try and go for some attack. Might be a little bit too much, especially since, you know, OK is facing, I think Ryan is around 2,000 and OK is 2,200. So maybe OK doesn't want to take that attacking risk because, you know, you can lose with plays like this. But yeah, I mean, black feels very, very solid here.
I really like this move, rook to d8, because I mean you can play bishop to e8, but then it allows some tactics like this and some complications hanging these pieces. But you know, as when you have two bishops, you can just prefer to play very, very slowly and go like rook f8, e5, and as you pointed out, slowly improve position further. And because white is just playing for one threat and some ideas here, and that's all. Like there are some strategic problems in white's position, and if black just defends the weaknesses at the moment and improves the position, I think white will be just collapsing very soon.
Mm-hmm.
So very good game, I think, positionally by Oki here, showcasing his positional strength.
Yeah, these pawns are looking very, very nice. They're just stopping all of white's pawns, and the bishops are supporting them really well. It's very hard to find any moves here. You almost have to trade rooks here, and that's really not something you want to do. And yeah, now these bishops are really going to show why they're so strong. Probably b6. Yep, very nice.
Just preventing, and also this knight could be kicked in future.
Mm-hmm.
And we do see that coming in.
Yeah, and the knight is really not finding any good squares here. All the squares that the knight wants to be are already cut off by the pawns and the bishops. And the white squared bishop for the white pieces is also not really that useful. It's staring at a pawn on a diagonal that's not really critical right now. So maybe like a bishop to, I don't know, e4 is called for here. But
then you drop the a2 pawn.
Yeah, so. But it's not really an option because of the a2 pawn, exactly. So this is a really hard position to play.
Yeah, after this f3, white knight is just moving down here, down there, going here, again coming back. So it simply shows that how difficult it is to play from white against a two bishop pair advantage and with some added weaknesses. It just sad position to play, defend for a long time and lose. A tough game for Ram.
Yeah, now we're rotating our bishops to even better squares. Bishop b6, very safe.
And then I just do the same job, just move here, there, and
yeah. I wonder if you just go back now with the knight, but no. Okay, yeah, it's very hard as a human to say I'm going to just repeat and sit on the position. But I think this is maybe what you should be doing. But it looks like Ryan is attempting to get a win. Okay, king. Oh,
he could have just gone knight f3, but then maybe he just got pissed defending so long, and he thought, okay, this is his chance. He's getting a pawn. Let's go check it.
Yeah, this is tactically working. The king is now a little bit too open, especially with the bishops here.
It is too exposed to defend with two bishops. I mean, against two bishops. I thought maybe he will play queen to f1 and give at least the h pawn. But then, if you give, I think the g pawn, I think you can resign very soon because this is not going to be. This is not going to work out. The bishops are very, very powerful. They can come from any side and destroy the king's safety.
Yeah, and okay, here, yeah, okay, of course not wanting to trade.
Yeah, that is why I wanted this, because I don't want this to come at some point.
Yeah. I think it's still pretty good, but okay, here.
Yeah, I mean, you can just play h3 here. I mean, you can never take. If he goes knight here, we do have some ideas like this, or again, give a check. If he goes there, then the s2 hangs. If he goes back, okay, let me just show this. So knight g3, just check, and you cannot really do this. If knight f1, then we have got check. If you go here, then another problem is there. If you go there, again, you can play queen simply g2 or threatening bishop g4, or also it is possible to start with bishop g4, queen g2, and almost resignable position.
Yeah, definitely too much.
But okay, he decided to play queen h1, and then slowly, somehow win with this. Not the ideal way, but still works.
Yeah, and there's really no way to stop this. So actually, I do like this. It's keeping it very simple. And now there's a threat to win this pawn, and check, and check, and check. And okay, now we're just going to push, and there's not a lot. And the dark squared bishop is nicely stopping the pawn from running for the white pieces.
Well, he could have just captured this, like it's a 4 pawns. clearly winning, but
maybe okay is a little afraid. Opposite color bishops. Sometimes some miracles can happen, but yeah, no such miracles here.
yeah, he just kept on playing and then started pushing. Oh, he just got a move.
Here's checkmate.
He could have played king h3 and the game would have gone a little bit longer with king h6 or something like this.
Yeah.
But okay, and just blundered.
Yeah. So it was very, very tricky to play and probably objectively lost anyway. So, but a very nice game by OK here.
Yeah, definitely. Very nice strategic game by OK. Only mistake I think he made in this game was probably giving up the live square bishop over here because that could have, if he plays h3 and something like this, that would have ended the game very quickly. But giving up the bishop like this is something I don't like because the bishop is too strong and this knight has like play 15 moves and achieve nothing.
Yeah, so, the other big thing is the knight literally can't move. You can play this anytime you want.
Yeah. So that's the only mistake which took this game to be a little longer to end. But yeah, overall, I think a very good game by OK. Very nice strategic game, not giving any chances to his opponent, and overall a clean victory.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, do we want to take a little bit of break here and come back in, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes?
Yeah, let's take a 10 minutes break, and then maybe we can review around 2 games, have a look at the ratings, and a little bit commentary on next round.
All right, perfect. I'll see you then.
All right.
Alrighty.
Welcome back, guys, from a short break.
So while we were gone, I got another recommendation to look at the other OK game from round 2.
Okay, let's go to round 2. But that game wasn't live.
Maybe OK wasn't playing on one of those boards. All right, we can just take a look at the round 2 games then. Yeah, unfortunately, OK is not playing on one of the digital boards this round.
Yeah, so maybe we can have a look at the game by Wang, who beat Iron, the upset from the round 2. Biggest upset, let's put it like this.
Mhm.
And it was King's Indian kind of a game.
London versus King's Indian. This is a pretty standard setup that you play against London.
Yeah. C5. And again, it is better to go something like knight h5, e5 setups or queen e8, e5 setups than c5. So this is what the London player wants. They want you to take and have a game like this.
Yeah, and this seems, pretty balanced for both sides. I always like playing the white side of this just because the planes are so simple, but black definitely has some play.
Yeah, white pieces are all developed and easy play with also rook getting active with a4 idea. He just goes back, preventing any kind of e5, knight d5 in the future. b4, putting more pressure there. c4, bishop b7, and now this is, I think, best time to just get d5, but he didn't do it immediately. He went like this, b3, and probably he did not do d5, and that is why it all, I mean the simple plan is here very simple. Like, you just go d5 and you just want to play for e5. You just want to make use of the space advantage. Later you can put your rook here, bishop back or in front, and just try to get e5. That would have been the right decision, because then the bishop is not doing much. Okay, he can play rook here or something, but then with white we have some plan. But with black, okay, we can just trade, and then I don't know what to do. We can play this, and white can just ignore or go queen b1, and then black has to defend some threats over here.
Yeah.
Instead,
this space advantage makes it very hard to play because all of the queen side is all of a sudden locked out, and white is clearly trying to play in the king side here. So I feel like that probably would have more principles, because once this happens, now there's some chaos.
Yeah, so he played some very, very safe choice, not giving any threats. This definitely gave black player a chance to strike in the center, clarify, neutralize things. And yes, he did get knight c4, and I think in this game he did blunder exchange as well, or he sacrificed exchange. I don't know how to put it, but he did not like to give the bishop over here, because then he was losing a pawn with, let's say, I'll just like to show some lines, queen b7, rook a8, and he was losing a pawn like this.
Yeah, and I think Irene, she's very strong, so she doesn't want to do this against a lower-rated player, because I think she feels like she's confident here that she can outplay her opponent, but yeah, I'm not so sure.
And if she does this, then probably this is coming, and we don't. Okay, in this line we don't have d takes c because the rook is hanging.
Yeah.
But at least white can go queen c4 and put some pressure there. With two bishops, I think it's a very good position for white. So black player decided to just sacrifice an exchange here because getting some counterplay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't really like black's decision here, but you know, there is definitely play. So maybe
It is still practical.
Yeah, it's double-edged, but it's practical. Yeah, rook here seems very solid, just keeping on the defense of the pawn, and after pawn takes. Yep.
Yeah.
Pawn takes is the only reasonable play.
Yeah, and now we do have some weakness here. If you get this knight here, it will be very good compensation for black.
I wonder if we could have played just bishop takes pawn. Was that not? No.
Yeah, it's an option. Yes, it is definitely an option.
Yeah. Maybe it's not tactically working.
I don't know. Maybe it was missed, or she doesn't like it because there's a bishop f1 coming in next, and you need to defend the bishop, so you have to go back.
Maybe after rook takes bishop, it's just enough though. I'm not so sure. Yeah, maybe yeah. Knight e2, queen e2, yeah, and queen c1. Okay, there are lots of moves. Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's not an option. Yeah.
Yeah,
b6. Rook goes back. Bishop f3. Bishop f3. And now, okay, black goes for the pawn because you need some counterplay. You need some compensation for the exchange, and if you get an e5 here, then this bishop will be shut, and then we can prove the compensation because this bishop, though it looks good, it's not actually doing anything because knight c5 is going to come later. Maybe if black is lucky, e4 might come in, and white position will be totally cramped down there, and with less space, it's difficult to play.
Yeah, now this pawn moves comes in, and it's very, black has all the easy ideas, and even if an engine could play this is not something that you really want to find yourself in as the white pieces, because your rooks have no activity whatsoever. You may even have to sack back and exchange at some point just to get some play.
Definitely not pleasant for white player here to play this, and with low time it's even gets difficult.
So we see knight c5, queen c4,
and simply including the rook.
Yeah, very nice. Stopping any bishop ideas.
Take. So is bishop e5 working here?
Bishop e5 takes. Yeah, maybe this just wins a pawn. And in fact, we see this played. We see bishop e5 played. And so, yeah, of course, this is working. But okay, we see a counter sacrifice, and after rook takes, I guess the material is
knight d3, and black is completely rook down. But we do have this after rook hanging. You cannot really play rook here because the knight e5 is coming. If you go g3, then the e1 is hanging. So and if the rook e2, then okay, you're just gonna lose.
Yeah, so maybe this is quite good.
Get brilliancy, let's put it like this, by Huang.
Yeah, what a play.
So if there's any game for round 2, I think this is the ground game of the round for.
Yeah, this is an incredible play. I completely missed this concept, and now you're just losing back more material, and now black is going to find themselves a pawn up.
But black player played this and just went for the attack against the king. Like there's a lot of weaknesses. I would have actually just gone knight f2 and played a upper pawn. But then here
takes is maybe right, and then maybe instead of here, maybe you go instead like knight to, I don't know, d1 or something.
Yes, definitely. This is more clinical. You just capture on f2, then go to d3 and try to win. But when you smell the blood, you just want to checkmate your opponent.
Yeah, and this is probably what they're going for. Maybe I don't know. I'm liking
this is risky for
chances. Yeah, exactly. Because of right here.
So it's
takes check here.
Still tricky.
Here. Yeah. Okay.
And also we should note, she was just down to 43 seconds here.
Yeah, but it looks like it's pretty straightforward to play. So 40 seconds, even though this is low time, there's not a lot to have to calculate.
And many times with low on clock, you like to have queen and knight as attacking chances, because those pieces really work together as a
Yeah,
combination. Or like, let's say if the queen goes here, like it would be very, very annoying for the white queen to defend this threats.
exactly. And now the queen's probably gonna swing in. I'm surprised we
Knight
haven't
is,
seen queen to f6, but maybe this is just not on their radar with such low time.
yeah, knight h5, king goes back, and now simply the queen comes in, and all these weaknesses will be exploited in the next few moves. 23, and now it's impossible to defend out everything, and black king is white is very soon will be getting checkmated.
Yep.
He tries the desperate try with rook coming to e1, but okay, it's just a matter of a technique here, and
yeah, and we find a very nice mate. Very, 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 very nice play by the black pieces. And Irene, I think she was better, but it was just very hard to play. Her rooks were not active enough, and once her king got broken open, yeah, you had to plan very accurate play, and with under 5 minutes, that's just not that's a really hard task to do. So very nice attack though.
Definitely an excellent game from round 2. A clutch victory, I would say, under pressure, delivered under pressure, under less time, and against high-rated player. So
exactly,
very well played this game. Yeah, this is the one game I always wanted to look from round 2. Is there any demand from the audience for round 2 apart from OK's game?
We can try to take a look just at a few of the top games to see what's going on, just because the tournament leader is still undefeated, so we can see one of their games and how they ended up winning that one.
And meanwhile, we do have a pairing for the next round. We have Andrew leading with 4 points, playing against David on board 1 with black pieces. Then we have OK on board 2 with white against Dane. And board 3 is John Blomer playing against Ram. So they are the important pairings. Top 3 boards, 3.5 points, and only Andrew being with 4 points. I think interesting matchup. And meanwhile, also Robert is moving to 4 points with half point boy, and maybe he will be playing the last round.
Yeah, Robert is scheduled to play the last round. He only took 2 buys today. But he could also just be taking a 0-point buy for the last round. I do hope to see him play though, because he always plays exciting chess.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see. Let's say Andrew makes a draw this game and he remains on 4.5, and then let's say Robert comes in and we have some interesting match between them on the top board for the championship.
Yeah, we'll need a draw on board 2 to get that matchup, because if one of them wins, they'll go to 4.5, which will be higher than Robert's 4. So maybe if OK and Dane and John and Ryan all draw, but I feel like OK and Dane, they're both really going to go for the win. Especially Dane does not like draws, so I feel like that is going to be a decisive result. And John versus Ryan, there's a 200-point rating difference. So it does make me feel like this is maybe going to be not a drawn match. But who knows? If we get 2 draws, anything could happen.
Yes, the tournament is open for anyone. Still, all the 5 to 6 players have a chance for the championship. And we never know. I mean, Titus may even lose this game. I mean, anything is possible. So let's just try to have a look at his games and see how good he was in converting his previous rounds.
Yeah, so this is our round 4. Let's take a look at the round 2 one. And Yep. And then Andrew with the white pieces against Jack Ballinger. Faced Jack. He's a very solid player. This time control, I remember facing him, was very tricky. He, I think, had a slightly better position, but just not a lot of time. Jack does like his time, so let's see if that ends up playing a factor here.
And one more thing I noticed about Titus is many times he's starting with the close Sicilian setup, move second 2 knight c3, and on the third move we have seen him playing knight f3 or knight e2 going for d4 ideas. So he's trying to be very, very tricky with the orders.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to get everyone out of theory, because I mean he's a 2300 player. I think he knows that he's got the positional prowess to beat somebody in a position they don't know. So he's trying to take them out of theory quickly and maybe move order them into something not so good.
Yeah, absolutely. And making the d4 break at the absolute right point. Now he will just castle, having the central control, and black is still yet to figure out where to develop pieces.
Yeah, knight f6 makes good sense. Probably we're going to see rook e1 just to defend.
Yeah. And one typical blunder which could come with rook e1, bishop e7 is like e5, and you're just lost because of the bishop g2. We have got ef6 and double attack. Okay, let me just show it. I believe we play rook e1, and if you play bishop e7, it's a blunder because then e5 comes in. If you capture, then you lose bishop b7, and it's game over. GG.
Yep.
And if you play bishop g2, then there's a ef6, a typical tactic. Now the rook is not on f1, so we will simply have fe7 coming in next if bishop goes back, and if you capture, okay, white remains a piece up. So we need to be very, very careful about this tactic in all kind of Sicilian where the e4 is coming. You need to keep the bishop guarded with queen c7 or something like that.
Yeah, and queen c7 is what we see. So Jack clearly aware of this tactic, and he dodges it very nicely.
Okay, let's proceed. And knight d5, a powerful shot here.
Yeah, very classic.
Yeah. So if you capture e5, the idea is usually to take here. And bishop e7, like most, can be met with knight f5. So you have to go king d8, which is not generally a good move to make. There are a lot of ideas like bishop g5, and if knight d7, knight c6, like most come in. And eventually we find that these three guys, rook a8, f8, and bishop f8, are not coming into the play very easily. And even we have moves like queen f3, knight f5, taking some shots on g7 and making it even difficult for black. So such positions are really, really tough to play as a black, as you have to play with king in the middle and pieces not well coordinated. So this is a typical sacrifice.
Yeah, and this is, I believe, still all theory. I believe this has all been seen many, many times before, but I'm pretty sure white is going to be scoring very well here. It's very hard to defend with the black pieces.
And Jack plays a knight d5, not taking the piece sacrifice. This definitely gives white the advantage without any risk. I mean, now he plays the same position without being a piece down, so almost winning.
Yeah, maybe he's doing this because he's afraid Titus is in theory, and knight takes knight is not a natural move to play. So maybe he's just afraid of that because Titus at this point he's down 3.5 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, so I would say, like it or not, you have to capture the knight, because if you don't capture the knight anyway, you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, at least your best chance is to try to win some material, and if you can defend, yeah, you can win.
Yeah. Yeah, this position is not so fun to play. B takes A is played. I don't really like this idea. I think you just want a castle and give up.
Yeah, but then you lose a pawn. In general, a4 is really hard to mate with. Like if you push also, then there's a 22, and you spend one more move defending it, then the c3 comes in, and it will keep you bothering. Or an f5, queen g4 ideas are also there in the air. So such moves are really difficult to, mate with, because you already had so many weaknesses to define on the king side, and suddenly white starts attacking another weakness, then another weakness gets created, and this is something you would like to avoid as black. And that's why probably to get rid of the weaknesses, black just took on a4, giving a bad pawn structure in the long run.
Yeah, and we see c4, which is a really nice play, bring out the queen, and this just looks miserable.
Absolutely.
Knight in seems. No, it seems like a good play. I need to do some calculation. Yeah, and then after knight back, probably.
Yeah, simply get the bishop whenever you want. Just push b4, c5, get rook c1, rook d1, and just start the pawns rolling.
Yeah, knight d7 here. b4 just doesn't let the knight in. Very nice.
And for this, we have got a simple tactic here.
And everything is just very defended. There's not a lot to do.
Everything under control. If you capture dc5, then we have got d6, winning a piece here, or exchange at least.
Yeah, I think you got to go back to a8, because this just blunders a fork, doesn't it?
But a8 is even worse. You get c6.
Yeah. So maybe you're just losing a piece no matter what.
Yeah, so it's again a position, you like it or not, you have to play this. At least you will get some pawns in return of piece. But in general, it's just lost. If you play rook a7, or if he has to make a move like rook a7, it's lost. But the fun fact is, whatever black plays, it's very hard position to play in general, because if you go here, then the a6 hangs, when bishop f1 is possible. The c5, e5, everything is going to fall, because the mistake has been done here by capturing bf4. The mistake has been done long back in the opening itself, but by playing this b5 is slightly inaccurate, because this gives white chance to play d4, and now black is slightly behind in development. So there's definitely some problems, serious problems for black, but yeah, here you have to capture this like and try to survive. Overall, it was a very much clean game, but yeah. So we did see some series of mistakes by Jack, or a series of good moves from Andrew, which made Jack play bad moves.
And this is what happens when you face these guys who know all the theory. They're just gonna end up blowing you off the board if you don't know how to play against it. And yeah, very nice game by Andrew. I know Andrew is fairly booked up in all of this, and he's showing that the studying is paying off.
Definitely a very good clean victory by the top seeded player here. Now, which one would like to pick me, or do we have some recommendation in the chat?
I don't see any recommendations in the chat. We can look at all the master games if you'd like Jordan Tim on board 2. We can take a look at what happened there. And then if Tim Rockmacher is here, we can also...
Wow, it was Alekhine again.
Another one.
Yeah.
Maybe this is something Jordan is studying. Bishop b3.
Yeah, and this is not really a good idea because after bishop c4, knight b6, I mean, black can just play d takes c5. I don't know why he did not play. Okay, there's a line here with queen f3, e6, and going like this. Some knight c6, bishop f4, knight f5. You try to win the bishop.
Yeah. But this
or
is
knight d4 is also possible.
Not played. Instead, we saw
knight c6 directly.
Which, sure, okay, makes sense. Takes.
So here clearly the white player did not have idea about what he's doing, but he did win against Jordan. Is he?
Yeah, apparently he won. A knight f3 is more match, or maybe c3.
Yeah, so very strange so far because now black will simply get the bishop. Okay, there's a small trick here. If you play something like this, you might lose a piece. Okay, you don't lose a piece yet, but you need to watch out for such things.
Yep. So we see takes e5, f4.
A very crazy game indeed.
This is a wild game. I'm not in love with f4.
It's like totally going wild. I would have just played queen h4.
Yeah, I would too. I really don't like f4.
And just clear some weakness, go back, get bishop f5 or something.
Yeah, now black looks equal, if not better.
I prefer black already with 2 bishops, open king, and after f4, I mean, without a doubt, it's I'm playing for black. I'm going with black.
I agree. I think you got to develop. But
so he played c4, bishop f5. Okay, this looks crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan is really going for the attack, I guess.
Yeah, but really, I mean, this game is very unpredictable. Hard to understand the next move. I mean, every time I think of something, there's a new move coming in.
Yeah, castles.
Knight h3.
Yeah,
and finally, knight is coming b4.
And
he allowed that. Like, okay, maybe there's no good way to stop it, but oh come on, how can you take this pawn with king exposed?
This is a crazy play. You just swing your rook.
I mean, rook here is coming, bishop f2 is coming, knight f2 is coming. I mean, knight after knight d3 is coming.
Yeah, this what was played? Because now Jordan just wins.
No, he just took on d2. It was surprising.
I'm not understanding. Yeah, knight f2 is what I was looking at as well.
Yeah, winning on the spot. Yeah.
Maybe.
How do you prevent this?
Yeah. What do you?
You have to play king f1 actually.
Yeah, maybe king f1 or queen to f3. Sorry, c3.
And maybe something like this. But then okay, I have got f6. What next?
Resign. I don't know.
Or if I want to play, I can even get the rook first.
Yeah.
Make this queen suffer. You go here, then I capture or something like that. Or if you go here, I will make you suffer even further.
Yeah, this looks very one-sided, but okay, takes. Instead, we see
we saw a positional blunder here.
Bishop.
And wow.
And Jordan.
Come on, what is this? Okay, I mean,
why not? Yeah, what?
Why not just finish check?
No, and then this is a free knight.
Yeah, I mean, but okay, maybe he wanted to flex a bit here and win in style. Okay, he did win in style.
Okay, they reported this game wrong. Jordan won.
Yeah, Jordan won.
It says that Aaron won, but no, there's no way. Yeah, Queen E3, and I have a very hard time thinking that Black resigned this. It's just
it's Jordan has won this game, but I would say a giveaway from Aaron. Like it's too much, like too wild to play like this.
I agree. It's
it was a giveaway.
Yeah, clearly White made some positional mistakes in the opening here. Yeah, in general, if you don't know what to do against an opening, just develop your pieces. It's very hard to be wrong when you're developing your pieces. You shouldn't be pushing pawns like this. I think once you play f4, it's too much.
Yeah. Okay. I was just checking if we have broadcast for the next round. Not yet, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it'll start soon.
Yeah.
And then, do we have Tim Rademacher in the DGT boards?
Tim
doesn't look like it. We can also look at, I guess, Dane Zagar, and then
I'm
they're playing for the top position as well.
Yeah, so let's see Dane's route to the top in this tournament.
Yep, Dane always plays this. Nothing new here.
Yeah,
and Steve, I think, is a 15 or 1600, if I'm not mistaken. So Dane, I think, can be comfortable.
Steve is like what? Okay, wait a sec.
Let me find Steve.
Moment.
Mr. Lockhart.
I cannot find
it, but I'm pretty sure he's somewhere around that rating.
Maybe I can have a trick here. Let's do this. Yeah, he was 1671.
Okay. It was almost 1700. I thought he was 1516, but that means he's gained some rating since I've seen him last. Or I could also just be misremembering, but I feel like this round 4, Andrew, I think we already looked at this game.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah, this one right here.
C6. Bishop E3.
Yep.
Many times we see this position coming from the King's Indian with the same setup and one of the main lines of Knight BD7. But okay, when we see the same position with Bishop E7, it's like kind of an old Indian defense system. And nothing special for Black in this, I would say.
No, I think this is a normal variation. You see this. Right, queen here. Sure. Wait, D5 looks really strong.
Yeah, D5 is typical idea in such kind of positions. You make Black play C5, and then you just try to open up the B file with H3, B4 ideas.
Yeah.
And I want to tell one thing, like they do call it normal variation, but okay, for me, it's nothing special variation for Black. Because Black has nothing special in this of old Indian defense.
Okay. I don't know which variation it's called, but it looks pretty standard to me.
Okay.
If it's called the normal variation, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So
that is why I have renamed it. Like it's nothing special variation of old Indian.
It's very normal. Okay. Okay. So we see C1 here, B4. Interesting. This is maybe not how I would have played it, but yeah, I would have pushed here as well.
You would have considered B5 more seriously. Why or not you would like to, give Black a free open file for nothing?
Yeah, exactly. A3, not a huge fan. I think they should just trade. And okay, knight.
And maybe I would have preferred D5, C5 more. Or
yeah, D5 here looks pretty enticing.
Just don't give any chance to improve the knight and any ideas with this. Okay, if you want to go knight G6, fine. It's like away from the center, so it's okay. But
I know Dane likes the C5 push. He played it against me sometime, and he ended up blundering a pawn, but I got low on time, and I think I blundered mate or something, or a piece. So I know he likes these complications. But yeah, takes, and now take. Oh,
maybe this was needed here.
Yeah.
But the problem with such moves is there's a idea of this CD6, and for Bishop D6 there's a Knight B5. And suddenly you lose this game because Knight D6, Queen D6, and there's a D takes E5. The queen is under attack. You must capture, Knight E5, Knight E5, Rook E5. Oops, sorry. And suddenly the rook comes inside, and it's a problem.
Well, can you not just go rook blocks?
Yeah, but then in general, like something like
No, of
this
course this
is
is unpleasant, but now
what you
bishop
want to
e6
take.
and now bishop
Yeah, you
e6.
survive
I
for the
think
moment. Yeah, but in general, many times it ends
yeah,
very
it's
quickly
unpleasant.
after
It's
e5.
unpleasant. Yeah,
Can I
very
play
unpleasant.
this? Maybe yeah. This is the move. Yeah.
Bishop takes.
So just take with the knight. You take back with the knight, and maybe something like knight d6. But again, there's a move d8 idea here, and I
Yeah,
can play bishop f4. Yeah, this is the line. Yeah, the knight d6, rook d8, bishop f4, rook to d6, bishop to e5, rook to d1. Just
takes no, but then rook takes rook, and then I'm up against.
I miscalculated. I thought I get the rook on d1, and I have got this idea, but
Yeah,
no, I'm miscalculating lines.
yeah. So maybe I mean this still looks unpleasant. There's yeah. Once you take. Maybe you're not winning material, but the bishop pair is definitely going to play. And
Definitely,
maybe you
definitely.
don't even take. Maybe you do something like queen c2 here. No, but then you drop the b pawn. You take here. No, yeah. Maybe
This is right. This is right. What we played in the first half, it's
take,
pretty right. I mean, you have to try this one.
takes.
Uh,
Maybe you don't take. Maybe you just go like a knight to d4.
but I think it's good to take. And maybe we have this idea. If you capture, then there's bishop f6, g f6, and then something like rook goes back,
Yeah, now you
and
move.
and maybe if we can try to win this, but
Rook takes pawn though.
yeah, maybe black is fine. I don't know, but usually this idea works well.
There's some combination we're missing. Just like intuitively speaking, this has to be quite good.
Yeah, so knight g6. Let's put it again. Shade is 6, bishop d6. Okay, so we can do this.
Bishop takes.
Yeah, force it. I want to do take with the bishop and just take the bishop and go f4 e5.
Is that scary?
You take with what? Queen or knight?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Probably the queen because I like the knight on this square.
Okay, so if I go f4,
yeah, and then I probably go back to e7.
makes sense. And I just wanted to push e5 or something, or okay, I'll push. Or okay, let's start with bishop c5.
Bishop c5, I think makes sense. Yeah, along this bishop c5 is maybe not right.
Maybe you have to go c7, but then again, knight b5 is a bit annoying. I mean, I can start with e5, remove the knight, and then this is just game over.
Yeah. Here. Yeah, this is a little unpleasant. I'd probably try and go back. It's just
so something like this was needed in and probably there, and that is why a black player took dc5, not going into knight g6 complications, giving white chances to strike with knight b5 ideas.
yeah. So maybe this is correct. So good calculation by black then.
But this allows some the kind of this idea. I'm not sure how good it is here because what I saw is for this I have got knight b5 and I'm winning a piece here.
Yeah.
I can do it directly, but okay, this is little more systematic.
This is more flexible because you can maneuver to the center square. So
but what happens if he goes knight d7 or g4? Probably g4 with the idea of knight g6. Maybe just fine. Black is just fine probably because
yeah.
And for this you're getting a tempo here. Apart from this.
Yes.
So probably it was all right, fine.
Takes. This
happened in the game?
Yeah, looks like
wow. Maybe he was banking on this idea.
Yeah, but this he just never allowed it. Queen c2.
But he wanted to happen that like he's not capturing the pawn back. It's like please take my pawn, please take my pawn.
Yeah, his opponent is not biting.
But I think you can take now because it's a high time. You just go back to d8 and what next? You get the bishop, okay, yes, but then what we're gonna do with that?
Yeah, this is maybe what I would have gone for as well. I like my extra material. Yeah, the bishop here is definitely strong, but I don't think it's enough.
It's not. It's harmless at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Are we missing something? I doubt. Maybe what we can do, Max, is Okay, there are lots of moves here. Not need to go queen d8.
Maybe he's afraid of taking the knight, but that doesn't look scary to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just got scared of this and played queen bishop f6. Or let's imagine that the game went like this.
Yeah, maybe. It's very strange that he allows this. This just looks very pleasant for white.
Yeah. So if queen c5, of course, bishop f2 is coming, so knight g4. E5 is not yet winning. It is coming, so we capture.
Sorry,
go e5.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm actually a little confused. Go back. Why didn't queen c5 work?
Bishop f2 check. I mean here. No. I mean this is the position, and if you go queen c5, bishop f2 attacking the queen.
And then okay, yeah. No, never mind. For some reason I thought my bishop was attacking the knight.
Yeah, he did not get a chance to do this. Okay, he can, if you want to play bishop d4, he can play here, but then in this case also the bishop will get traded.
Yeah. Okay. So
which anyway got traded there.
Yeah, this looks better for white just because.
Yeah, but there's a bishop f5 coming in, I believe.
The bishop f5, queen f2.
Just knight f6, there's queen f6, so that's the point.
Yeah, but I think you have queen f2 after bishop f5, and then your bishop is not very good in this endgame.
Yeah, but I can just capture, yeah, and you're supposed to capture the knight, and I think if anyone has chances, it's black with this rook coming in.
Yeah, but I don't know if I let your rook in. You want? Okay, yeah, this bishop maneuver to stop here. Yeah, okay. And then it has to be okay because I don't have this b1 square to attack your pawn.
Or also I can start with rook a4, creating more weakness by playing g2. I mean, okay, I want you to play g4 so that I can just go back and have your king bit weak.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm convinced. I think it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So in the game,
this is what happened.
Oh. Yeah. So, he did play this. Okay, wait. This happened in the game or what?
Yeah, this happened in the game.
Oh, come on. Okay. He played h5 to prevent g4. I would have allowed g4.
I would have allowed g4 as well.
And now this is a problem. So g3, h4. And how did Dane won this? Looks like he's a very good endgame player.
Yeah, no, Dane is a spectacular endgame player.
Yeah, so rook d4.
I don't actually. Yeah, I don't know if I've had the pleasure of playing him in an endgame. Usually, if I beat him, he blunders in the opening, and if he beats me, I blundered in the opening. And then the endgame technique doesn't matter when you have an extra knight. But I've seen him against like really strong players like Nathan Hoover, national master, just slightly worse and holding draws, and sometimes I even see him win some equal positions where I'm like, there's nothing. Like just last month, he was down 3 pawns against 1700, and he came back and won. So he's really good at finding some chances out of nowhere.
So he played rook d1 and probably took, and that's why he lost.
Now the pawns are terrible. You can't trade. You just can't be trading. You have to go, I think, rook b4.
Yeah, and this is quite good. You can just go rook b5, attack some weaknesses, improve the king position a bit, go h4, get g5 at some point. And yes, this definitely gave some chance, but still it's a draw. And okay, if you do this, of course you're gonna lose. It's a simply wrong color of the bishop.
I actually still think there's some drawing chance. I don't like this play. I don't know why he's doing this with his bishop.
But the problem is, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if you go back a few moves, yeah, here, I think you just got like once he goes king to the center here, king d4. I think you have to at least try king f5, and it doesn't work, but yeah,
because the e5 is quite strong. Like it's going to take some time to capture those pawns, and it's hard to stop the e-pawn. So I mean, if you fix the pawn structure like this, it's very difficult. And first thing, you need to put your bishop somewhere around here.
Maybe we actually start with f6. So he plays. Maybe we go f6 here.
Yeah, but the problem with Steve is I think he just tried to play for a draw without doing anything. And if you just sit like that, it's hard to hold a draw. If you play actively, it's very easy to make a draw, or you can even try to play for a win, as you said, with king f5. But if you just sit tightly and try to make bad moves, make your bishop even worse, then you don't actually end up drawing the game.
Yeah.
Because eventually the attack is going to come. The king will be pull down further, bishop g4, and look, he just
King moved his pawns.
what? He just played king d7 here.
Yeah, I don't understand. I think it's still a draw. It's very hard, but I think it's still a draw.
Maybe bishop f4 was needed. And maybe okay. The problem is 94, 96 is coming, so the pawn is getting lost.
No,
There's
but
bishop
bishop
e2.
f4 stops this idea, right?
Yeah, you can still play this, and it's a draw.
Yeah, I
But-
wonder what happened. Maybe he just was low on time and panicked.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure.
and yeah. So, oh wow, there was still
Yeah, I mean it
Those-
takes technique to this.
it was a long fighting game,
Yeah, and you ran out of moves.
and yeah, he's just running very well. Even f5 could have been even more.
Yeah,
brutal.
F is maybe a good play, but why not take and then go 5? Yeah, exactly.
Final
Like
capture, yeah.
and,
Everything is for free.
and then
Yeah, I think
our last leader, we can take a look at John Bloomer's game just to see how he got to the top as well. And I think that's the last leader's game to
which one?
John Bloomer, the board 4.
John Blum. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because somehow he also ended up winning. So let's see what happened there.
Okay, let me just.
And then we can also
quickly
check once we do this game if round 5 has begun.
send this. Okay.
So John
Oh, wow.
playing modern something in A5. I have
So-
never seen this idea before.
Okay, I've seen this idea once. They try to play f5 to get some bishop. Prevent these ideas, and even some. I mean, there are some online games, honestly, obviously, and also I remember Maksud Luparam playing some h5 here, even in World Junior Championship. Back
I
in
wonder
2018.
if his opponent is just afraid of prep, and so no
Yeah.
one's.
I mean, they're just trying some unusual stuff to confuse. But okay, come on, a4 is really, really bad. I mean, why on earth you would play a4 and just create a weakness for yourself?
Yeah, this is I think too much.
Yeah, it's just blending a pawn. It's game over.
So John already up a pawn, very comfortable trade. Yeah, trade queens. Just simplify. There's no need
but,
to make it complicated.
I don't like. I mean, after d4, I mean, there's just no need to take and create problems for yourself. Just play knight e2 castle or b4 bishop b2.
Yeah, and I think that this is probably the best way to play it, but I think it's good enough, especially if John thinks that he's a stronger opponent when it comes to these endgames. So okay, yeah,
So-
takes. Big
Takes,
simplification. Yeah, if
and
he
this-
was facing maybe master, this could be a draw, but
I didn't like this. He
c5.
did play c5, and now this knight creating unnecessary chaos there. Look,
I don't like this. It takes.
he allowed this luck. He could have simply played bishop g3, king moves, and just king c7, and he's absolutely doing fantastic. Like if you play this, okay, just capture, get knight f6, knight g4, bishop c5, whatever you like.
Yeah, and now
But-
I like black, but instead we see
Black player unnecessary flexing, losing a pawn.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, this is blunder. Come on, too much.
yeah, full piece. Well,
Okay, let's not. Okay, there's some threat, but
this is still
simply-
like you have a weak pawn. You're not gonna defend this against someone like John. This is, I think, almost a forced loss.
allowing exchange of
Oh
the rooks and king.
no, you can't trade. No. You have to keep yeah, this is just good to know. Drawn there's an old saying in chess, all rook endgames are drawn. Of course it's not true, but it's to say that it's a lot harder to win when there are pieces
Yeah,
on
just
rather
piece
than just this is too much, and John easily wins this one. But yeah, I mean you have to keep one pair of rooks on to keep some chances, because the second there are just pawns, you can calculate all the way to a forced win, whereas if there are rooks, maybe you have some perpetual or something. So
Yeah, I mean, John really had an easy game in round 2 for sure. And I think this is it with the recap of round 2. More or less simple games, some nice games with the top seeded players, whether it's Titus or Tim playing very good games here. Also a nice conversion in endgame, or backing his endgame skills by Dane here. And Yeah, round 4, I think we saw. Okay, let's see if we have something to follow up in round 5.
Yeah.
So no games yet.
Yep. Well, I think if there's no round 5 games, yeah, we can just wrap up. All right. Yeah, so some pretty interesting games. Titus pulling ahead with a half-point lead in this tournament, and 5 potential people who are all tied up, who can still win it from Titus if he's not careful. So still in contention. I do feel like Titus is still the favorite, but you never know. Everyone here is capable of beating anyone else, so we'll see how this tournament ends up going.
I think the round 5 will decide probably the winner. If Titus wins this, probably is going to win it. But if it doesn't win, I think it will be still open to 3 or 4 players. Could be anyone's tournament. Exciting games. Wishing them all the best. And yeah, thank you so much for joining in corner today. And it was nice commentating with you. And Chris taking care of the broadcast all the time.
And before we leave, just a quick reminder that if you want to come to our training camp at the end of May, I think 30th or 31st with Nubairshah, he'll be covering some which pawn structures were we doing? We're doing middle game and a little bit of end game. I don't remember which you have planned. But on top of some lessons from Nubairshah, he'll be playing some simuls and some blitz. And so feel free to come and join us if you want to improve your chess, especially with such a strong lecture. This is a very good opportunity to figure out some middle game plans and end game plans. All right. Thanks for joining.
Okay,